Hello. Welcome to the Exatos.
And that's probably why Keith Raniere had it right all along, and that he just got a bad rap. But we'll get back into that more later. I'm glad you guys are kind of on the same page as me. Hey, welcome. It's Think Tank.
Hey.
Hello, sir.
Hello.
We can't hear you, David.
Oh, really?
Oh, there we go. Now you're just coming out of the left channel again. We're back in like Beatles mode. What happened?
Why? That doesn't make any sense. I set it up for stereo. Jesus Christ.
Well, this is kind of just like
it was fine before the show started, right?
You sounded fine before the show started. Yeah, I don't know what you did to fix it last
I have
time.
it in stereo audio, so that doesn't make any sense.
Okay,
He's in the monomyth mode.
Everyone enjoy David out of your left ear only until we get that figured out. So, hey, happy weekend, everyone. Sounds like it was great for everybody across the board.
Yay.
How much do we want to talk about the week? We won't talk about the week. Let's talk about how today's going.
You know what? What's really been upsetting me is that ostrich farm thing. Did you guys hear about that?
Yeah. I mean, that's been going on for a long time. Am I still left ear? One ear? I just switched off stereo, so maybe that'll help.
I think you sound better.
You sound fine.
Okay, is it just one channel, or is it both?
I think you're both channels now.
Okay, good. I switched off stereo, so apparently that's what I needed. Anyway, yeah, no, that's been going on for a while. I've heard a lot of different ideas around why that's really happening. Like, apparently ostriches are like, that there's something about ostriches that they can use for some kind of treatment. Oh, it's been a while. This has been culminating to this point. Now they finally did it in the middle of the night. Like 300 something ostriches got killed in Canada, and my understanding is that I wish I had a better analysis of this at this point, but it was like this is like a big pharma deal ultimately. That it was like ostriches can be used for a treatment of something that they're trying to monopolize, and so that's like. But they're using another front. So my question is, once again, is this just based on PCR tests? Like, did they run PCR tests like they did all those other chickens that they killed? That they're like freaking out. People were freaking out about the price of eggs, and it wasn't being emphasized. Like, why are they killing the chickens? Because they tested positive with PCR. There's a known false positive rate for PCR that was like really skewing the COVID. People are like, oh, I don't feel sick, but I ran the COVID test and I just in case, it's gonna come, and then it wouldn't come. They wouldn't get sick, and they'd be like taking time off work, and they're like, well, I guess. I just to be safe, it's better that I not come in today. And, yeah, they like if that's all it was PCR tests, and then that's a freaking scam. That's a scam that like the creator of PCR like emphasized back in the day, and he died like right before 2020, right? So,
which means now he's not in the way anymore for it to be
used
as the vehicle that they. And hold on, let me Let me summarize my understanding of it, and then maybe Anna can correct whatever my understanding is. So, like, bunch of ostriches in Canada, and that they weren't necessarily infected, but they could be, and they could have been this big vector. So the government said, "Hey, we need to take these ostriches out because they pose a threat, not now, but in the immediate future, possibly." And there was a whole debate for a while, and the last I had heard of it was that the ostriches get to stay, or maybe it was just like one of the many battles and not the war. But apparently, the ostriches lost the war, and they're all dead now, and they're in a bunch of dump trucks. And there was an article where the government or the guys in charge of this operation didn't know how to unload them or didn't know how to load them or something. So that, how much do I have of the story?
You know, you guys have known about this story for months. My algorithm only decided to tell me about it like the night before they were getting slaughtered. And so all I tuned into was for the drama of it and the standoff and like the emotions. But yeah, from what I read, which wasn't a lot, like I'm sure you, David and Thomas, you both know more than me, but they said that there had been some birds that had died from like the bird flu or whatever. And then the rest of them recovered, and they had antibodies that could be used for like further medical treatments or something.
Yeah,
like it was going to be
that's right.
So they had attained a herd immunity that could be used potentially, but that the government had just like ordered for them all to be destroyed, and they did it in like the most horrific way possible. Like they pinned them all together and then just hired marksmen to just like shoot at them for hours, one after another after another. And like those birds are like highly stressed, and so they were, I guess, like running and freaking out and trampling each other, and then like some of them were decapitated. Like it was just like a bloodbath to kill. Like it was just like the least humane way possible to like do the thing.
Right.
Which
Usually
was already
what they
like
do
a
with the
highly
chickens-
insensitive.
Yeah. Usually
Canada wouldn't do that, though. Canada
So we're
would-
talking specifically about Canadian ostriches.
Yes.
I think so, right? This is the
Yes.
Canadian government that did all of this.
300 Canadian ostriches that were in a corral, basically.
All
What
right.
do you
Well,
call a group of
this is
ostriches?
weird because it kind of syncs with something that happened recently in baseball during the playoffs. All of the teams, their helmets have a logo on it because, you know, MLB sold out a long time ago and they have logos on their uniforms. But on their helmets during the playoffs, they have a logo for the German company Strauss.
Right.
And their logo is the ostrich.
Yeah.
And so the Toronto Blue Jays with the ostrich on their helmets just lost Game 7 to the Los Angeles Dodgers.
Right.
And the ostrich feather is linked to Osiris.
I thought it was Ma'at, the goddess of truth and justice.
Yeah.
It could also cover that too, but I'm pretty sure that it on Osiris's crown there's an ostrich feather. Maybe we can double check that.
Well, maybe, yeah. I mean, I know the ostrich feather is weighed against the heart, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
In the Egyptian funerary texts. So yeah, there's like I think there's something definitely mythological about it, and also just like how ostriches bury their heads in the sand, which is kind of what the Canadians have done in a lot of ways.
Hell yeah. Totally. Yeah. So yeah, it's the weight of your heart against that of a feather determines your afterlife in Egyptian mythology, and it connects to these 42 principles of Ma'at that are basically recited at the time of death to determine the weight of your heart. So it reads like the 10 Commandments, but there's 42 of them, and instead of it's thou shalt not, it's I have not. So like going back over your life, you know, I have not done this, and a lot of it has to do with how identity and how identified you are with this material realm, and are you light enough to enter the etheric realm, you know, your spirit. And so yeah, it's interesting, the 42 thing, because it's, you know, and connected to death once again. So like through all, like there's 42 triangles that make up the Sri Yantra, right? Which yogis are told to visualize. Some yogis in certain schools of thought of yoga are told to visualize this at the time of death, right? And then you have 42 is the angle at which light refracts water to produce a rainbow. Like if you perceive a rainbow, it's always at 42 degrees, which is interesting that in the film, the more recent film of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, when Deep Thought is telling you the answer to life, the universe, and everything is 42, which isn't the answer to the ultimate question. It's just the answer to the life, universe, and everything. Is she's telling you that, it's Helen Mirren's voice, and she's telling you with a rainbow mouth. So you have this rainbow telling you that the answer to life is everything 42. But yeah, there's other examples too of 42 having to do with death. I'd have to go into it.
Yeah.
Well, there's a pretty big 42 in the news this week. Is that 42 million are on the SNAP program?
Yeah.
And Trump had that Title 42 for the immigration stuff, which I have a pretty big thread on 42, just kind of like ridiculous pop culture stuff. But the one thing that prompted that thread for me was when I was watching Little Nicky, and every time that he reincarnated, he came back on 42nd Street, which is like Grand Central Station, which turned into Grand Central Terminal, right? Like there's some sort of Mandela effect. So just like what we were talking about with trains, what they represent in the afterlife. So yeah, that it fits with the number 42.
Wow. Okay.
Anyone else connecting? Isn't it in the Marvel universe where Thanos sacrifices half of everyone alive in the universes by snapping his fingers?
That sounds right.
Is that what it is? I'm not hip to that. Sorry.
So is that really Thanos? It was a metaphor that he took everyone's food stamps away, and that's really what caused half the population to disappear?
Well, it's like, I don't know, 42 million. The government has their head in the sand. They're shut down. And now their food benefits are not being renewed. And it's being held as leverage for healthcare, and you can debate on what the issues are in that. But it's like you could snap your fingers right now, and 42 million people would get their food back. But they're not snapping their fingers. They're
with the snap of your fingers, you could make this thing go away. Yeah, it's true. Yeah, and it's quite a giveaway if you see all the footage of all the supermarkets with just like nobody in there, because it's like how many people are actually on food stamps in certain areas, So it's like it's kind of a big reveal, I don't think people realize.
What do you mean
that
that now there's grocery stores that just have no people at all because SNAP is gone?
Practically empty. Yeah. Because the number of people that are relying on food stamps is like not what people maybe realize. Because the only way you would know is like if you're a checker or something and you're like, oh, another EBT, another EBT, another EBT. But yeah, that's pretty nuts.
It's interesting because in an overly simplistic view of like the conspirers at work, like the puppet masters that are enacting their will upon society because we're like this big sandbox for them. But in that way, it almost seems that we've discussed this principle that if you really want to change something in the government from the inside, then you have to be the party that's in opposition to the thing that is being tweaked, right? So for for example, if Trump is the one that enacts more Second Amendment rules, then it's like, all right, well, at least it's better than if like the left-wing guy is doing it. At least the right-wing guy is suppressing the Second Amendment, because the left-wing guy, if they had to do it, man, they'd be doing it way worse than this guy's doing it, right? But then,
which is just an extension of the lesser of the evils as we apply to candidates. You're just applying it to issues. So
and it makes it acceptable. So if your own party is doing a self-inflicted wound on a thing they're supposed to represent, then you almost allow it. So it's been like planned and like they're forcing it to happen. But when it plays out the way that you would expect it to be scripted, where of course the Republicans are going to take away SNAP, or of course the Democrats are going to take away, then I think in these ones it does feel more theatrical. It feels more like I've brought up when this came up before, I think, the Silent Weapons for Quiet Wars, which is inside the Behold a Pale Horse, and they're describing how you can manipulate a society the same way that you would like electricity on a circuit board. You throw a resistor here and a capacitor here, and like you can just like make things flow a certain way. And it just seems like one of those things, like someone installed a new capacitor somewhere and it's going to build up all this energy, and then it's going to release it somehow. Like this is going to come to a head, and maybe like there's an intentional catalyst. Someone is like, you know what? Let's let them do this thing, just so that everyone can see. Okay, here's how it plays out, and then propose whatever the next iteration is going to be.
You know, I just to speak to the Bill Cooper thing with what was supposedly found in a printer at an estate sale. Like,
Yeah, an old Xerox machine, like a
Xerox,
huge
yeah,
government Xerox
yeah.
machine.
So like I don't believe that it's authentic, but it's
Fair.
Hold on. But it's one of those things that might as well be. Like,
It
might as well be. Like this, I'm sure this is how it's treated. So, you know, whatever, you know.
100%. I want to say the other example of that one is probably like the protocols, right? The protocols of the elders of Zion, where it's probably a Russian forgery, and maybe it was stolen by like the Memphis Mizraim rite from French Freemasonry, and like it passed hands and people manipulated it. But who cares like who the last one to write it was?
Right.
That
Did you read Holy Blood, Holy Grail probably? Like
of course, yeah.
That was one of those like just like Sitchin's The 12th Planet. Like it's like a must read, you know. And it's the basis for the inspiration for the Da Vinci Code and you know everything that followed for Dan Brown. But the thing is that there's like a court case that went on around that book. Like it's bogus, but it's really you can entertain it. Like even like Sitchin stuff is like, you know, you can find a million holes in it. You know, if you just go through, pick a page, and you can debunk stuff. You know, but at the same time, it's like, what's that? There's a book about Melchizedek, the Drunvalo, nothing in this book is true, but it's exactly how it is, or something. You know, it's like stuff like that. Yeah.
If I was faster, I could be pulling this up as we're talking. I'm so slow compared to Andreas.
Yeah, he's a ninja at it. It's true. Yep.
Oh, here we go. Nothing in this is an older book.
Yeah. Yeah, a friend of mine just edited the reissue, but yeah.
Bob Frissell. Nothing in this book is true, but it's exactly how things are. The esoteric meaning of the monuments on Mars.
Oh.
And it's got aliens, and it's got crop circles, which dates it a little bit, at least this edition.
Right, but
and what's that? The face of the Sphinx.
But this book is really just like largely just somebody who is really into Drunvalo Melchizedek. People say Melchizedek, but Melchizedek it's Sadiq, right? So it's wisdom. So, but it's his trip. It's like if you read a book by somebody and you're really impacted by it, and you're like, I'm going to write a book about this book. You know, that's basically what this is. You know. I was
excited to buy this book, and I remember reading it, and after because I was hungry for more Robert Anton Wilson, right? There was no internet, and you're just looking to keep that crackle going on, and this book was on the bookshelf at like Tower Records, and I'm like, I'm going to give this a shot, and had really high hopes for it, and there's some pretty interesting nuggets in it, but it is pretty singular in its narrative because it's really more about the guy who wrote it than anything.
Yeah.
So
it's true. It's got a great title though, and that's why I brought it up because it's a phenomenon.
Yeah.
And that's why the book did so well, is because people see that title and they're like, I know about that phenomenon. But yeah. Anyway.
I think he had a sequel to that book too, but I don't know if I ever read it. So
it says something in this book is true. So he's like really playing into that. Which fair point. I think that same guy, Don Miguel Ruiz, that did like the 4 Agreements, where he had like whole bunch of other versions that kind of played off of the same thing over and over again.
Sure. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, it's like Carlos Castaneda too.
Yeah.
When that book first dropped, it rocked people because it seemed so academic and it felt so real. And everyone was turning on and everyone was looking for guidance and everything from a different perspective. And here was this person talking about, you know, a real Mexican shaman and the real roots of everything. And then I don't know how long it took for them to realize that it was mostly fiction and Don Juan was invented. But he still got like 6 or 7 books in that series because people still needed to hear that conversation in some form. And I think there's a lot of good in Castaneda. I didn't really get too upset when I found out that it was fiction, because it was communicating to me pretty directly when I read it. But
Right, but had he has said that out the gate, it wouldn't have been impactful in the same way. And that's an instance where I actually have sympathy for somebody being manipulative or dishonest about it, because it's just like, well, he would have ruined it. Like if he would have just been like, oh yeah, no, it's just fiction, It's like
So
you're going into it and you entertain it.
I read that one without even hearing whether he said it was fiction or not fiction. I went in and read it because it kept being recommended. And by the time I was done with it, if it were fiction, like I didn't care when it came out that it was fiction, because if it were fiction, he didn't really embellish anything beyond the actual psychological and like the hallucinations that he was seeing. It's not like he said literally aliens came from outer space, or like literally like this crazy event happened that defies physics or something. Everything was just like, yeah, I went out into the desert and this guy made me eat a whole bunch of stuff, and here's my interpretation of it, and that's kind of it, right? It was like, what's the Million Little Pieces guy from Oprah?
Yeah.
That also had
that's different though.
but like that,
he doesn't
that
get
was
a
like
pass.
specific things, right? And this was just like a guy describing a trip in the middle of the desert.
Yeah.
And even if you knew someone for a fact just tripped out in the desert like last weekend, and they're recounting it to you, you're still like, how much of this are you like really remembering? You know what I mean? Because
right.
like
Yeah.
it's the person recording it is inebriated. So how do you even know?
Right. I mean, you got it. Carlos Castaneda had to have done a ton of peyote, right? That's
So
like the deal.
so when that book came out, what was it specifically advertised as? Here's an academic firsthand account. Everything is 100% true. Like fact check us. We've got all the records. Or was it just left ambiguous?
About fact check us, but yeah, he did say that that he met Don Juan and this was his experience. Yeah. So
yeah, it was a memoir, a first-hand
memoir.
account of actual teachings from Don Juan. What's the full name of Don Juan? I forget.
DeMarco?
But
Depp.
The name as soon as I read it, it sounded like a fake name anyways. You know what I mean? Like it sounded like a name that somebody made up for a guy that didn't know what his name really would have been.
Have you ever seen the movie Don Juan with Johnny Depp and oh god, who's the older actor in that? It was one of his last movies.
wasn't Brando in that?
Yeah, it was Marlon Brando. And so there's this answer machine message that I fucking love, dude. I like to just play this sometimes. I think we could play it here. I think we could get away with it. It's so funny. If you look up Faye Dunaway answer machine message, Faye Dunaway is in this movie, and like there's like this angry answer machine message where she became Mommy Dearest in real life. Like she played Joan Crawford, and then like after this Don Juan movie, like Faye Dunaway became Joan Crawford. Like she sounds exactly like she sounded in the movie Mommy Dearest, where she was portraying her, and she in this answer machine recording. Yeah, here it is. She's like going off about like. She's like, why didn't you mention me with Brando? Like, this is like, what you always have to. She's so mad that they're bringing up Mommy Dearest, but it's paradoxical because while she's freaking out about people bringing up her repeatedly in Mommy Dearest, she's become Mommy Dearest. So it's just like, it's kind of maddening. But yeah, you should play a second of it because it's funny. You don't have to play the whole thing, but
Okay, give me a second. I'm gonna like grab an actual version of it so it doesn't get canceled.
I don't think I saw that movie, but I do remember, like, wasn't there a Bryan Adams song that he made that like used scenes from the movie in the music video?
Oh, really? Oh, for Mommy Dearest or
No, for the Don Juan DeMarco.
Oh, for Don Juan. Oh, probably.
No.
Yeah, did they have some hit song that was attached to it or something?
So. I think he made some like "If You've Ever Loved a Woman" song. And then...
That sounds true. Yeah, I don't know. But
yeah, dude,
no.
Bryan Adams' control of the pop charts and MTV for that 2-year run was the most bizarre thing on the planet. It was just so crafted and just like, we need a Canadian guy. Let's get him on the MTV. It was bizarre.
Oh, wow. By the way, Mommy Dearest syncs with Prince's album Controversy. It's amazing. It's really funny.
Ooh,
But,
speaking of Bryans,
yeah.
Bryans, right now that Live Forever guy, Brian Johnson's doing the heroic dose of mushrooms. Do you know about
Forever
this?
guy. Yeah, Andreas is into that guy, I think. Yeah.
So Brian Johnson, I think he's in his 40s, right? And he made it his mission to be as healthy as possible to extend his longevity. And he tries to go, look, I'm 48, but I look 24. And it's like, no, you look like a pasty 48-year-old guy.
Those guys like often die. It's like the freaking what was the liquid aminos guy, Braggs, he's always bragging about how he's going to live forever, and then he freaking dies. But yeah.
All right, here we go. Here's the voicemail message.
6:14
You can turn it up.
Thursday, February 27th. Yeah, Jack, this is Faye Dunaway. Look, I've erased some of the stuff from the O'Neill interview, but I'm not really interested in Terry O'Neill. He's a big, big liar, and I'm really not interested in him. And, or in dilly-dallying and tarrying over Mommy Dearest. I don't even want to discuss it in my interview. Or on this Lloyd Webber thing. Those are negative. And I notice that you have nothing in about Marlon Brando. You have nothing in about Johnny Depp, which I did 2 films with. I don't expect you to get him for an interview. But you can put some footage in of the Costa Rica movie, which I was brilliant in, and it was not well sold in this country. You can talk about the Marlon Brando film that I was wonderful in. All the positive things along that period. The Marlon Brando film was going on at the same time that the Lloyd Webber stupidity was going on. And you all have to put in the Lloyd Webber stupidity. You can't put in that I worked with the wonderful Marlon Brando and talked to the director of that movie, for Christ's sake. And I'm not going to approve it. I'm really upset now because that for 2 nights now tried to thread through that stupid interview with a man that I will not even waste my time discussing. And who, suffice it to say, stopped working when he married me and pretended to be my manager for a very long time. So let's not even go there.
This guy's
It's very
crap.
upsetting to me. And then to put our child in jeopardy the way he had. So I'm not interested in these negative things that you all are putting in there at the end. I don't want Lloyd Webber in. I'd like you to cut him out. And I'd like you to really trim down everything to do with that Mommy Dearest. I'm not going to talk about it. Maybe one thing I'm going to say about it. That's all. It's just like, an obsession. Why can't you be obsessed about positive things? About Marlon Brando, about the Costa Rica movie that was a hit of all of Europe and Cannes, about the film I did with Brando, and talk to that,
Yeah. So the point being, if you've ever seen Mommy Dearest, the best scene in the movie, some people would say it's the hangar scene. By the way, they play this in the Castro regularly, and people as a comedy. So like as a late night show, and everybody just laughs their ass off because it's so funny. Like if you just like look at it, like I mean, at the time I'm sure it wasn't so funny, but like when she's beating the daughter with the hanger and stuff.
Do you think there's anything symbolic about like the hanger? Oh,
Yeah.
Oh, I was asking really quick. Isn't this the movie that Marilyn Manson put like little clips in to like his albums? Was from Mommy Dearest?
No, I think you're thinking of, there's a John Waters movie when it's like, go home to your mother. Doesn't she ever want you? This isn't some communist
that's not
daycare
Mommy
center.
Dearest.
No, that's not Mommy Dearest. That's a John Waters movie. I forget which one, but yeah. But it seems like something he would use. Yeah, but no, it's just is there something symbolic about the hanger? Is that what you said?
yeah. I was wondering if like because a hanger is like so associated symbolically with abortion, and that it's also
like it's an adopted daughter, so it's almost like I don't know.
Where does the hanger come in? I don't think I've seen this movie.
Okay, so the premise, Mommy Dearest is based on the memoir of her adopted daughter. So I'm getting an echo. Am I echoing for you guys or just for myself?
I think just you.
Okay, good.
You can just deal with it.
Cool. So the daughter released this book, and then they did an adaptation from it for the film. So apparently this was a real account that her mother's shouting at her to clean out her closet, but she's like literally like making the mess for her to clean up. So it's just insane. You're like, clean this up. There's a disaster in here, and then she's making the disaster.
This is literally boot camp. Like that is the first week of boot camp, is that the people like your guardians, trainers, mentors come in and just make like literally just knock things over and destroy a room and then be like, look what you did, clean that up, I'll be back in 15 minutes. Like I really do think that this is a legitimate mind control tactic that maybe just some crazy parents wander onto like organically, but that it is a legitimate tactic where you show someone like an absolute juxtaposition where what I'm telling you is the opposite of reality as you're seeing it, but yet you still have to adhere to this new reality that's not the same. And it, like, some people just either like, oh, I get it, this is a game and I got to play this role, but also there's some people like their brain breaks a little bit.
They can't reconcile. Is that like disassociation?
I think so, and that's usually too like one of my best examples was literally this was happening, and it was in boot camp, and I saw this one kid, bro, like, and I say kid because we're all like 17, 18. There was like a few 20-year-olds in there, but this was happening to him where someone was forcing him to like reconcile. They were saying something so different than the reality that he was confronted with, and you could just see him turn off, and he had all of his BDUs on, and he just walked into the showers and turned the shower on and just started taking a shower with all of his clothes on, because I could see like the moment where his brain was like, oh, logic doesn't matter anymore, just do whatever, like the last thing that someone said, do that thing, and the last thing someone said to him was like, get in the shower, and like he didn't even process it meant like go and take your go put your clothes off, go pack your stuff, then go and take a shower. It was just like someone told me to do a thing, and like I've relinquished all control over decision making. So the last thing I hear is the command that I take. It's weird to see the
I catch
exact
the media
moment
doing that. They do. The media will do that at times where you'll literally have completely conflicting messaging, so to confuse people. I feel like it's an intentional way to get people complacent.
So this is the media. Mommy dearest slapping you is basically the media.
Yeah, pretty much.
Like a learned helplessness.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you.
I can hear the echo too.
Yeah, and you sound like you're in a tunnel somehow to me, but I don't know what's happening.
Maybe my ears are just bad.
Maybe it's. Am I on somebody's system? Is somebody listening to me not on headphones? I'm going into somebody else's mic, I think.
Here, I'll turn my mic off.
But it's only me though, so that doesn't make sense. That would be other people too then.
No, I'm echoing too.
Okay, yeah. Somebody's got headphones on, not headphones on. You guys both have headphones?
I don't have headphones.
I've been muted like the whole time you've been talking, so I don't think it's me.
Okay, yeah. Could you wear headphones and see if that fixes it?
Me?
Check. No, I mean, I don't know. I always wear headphones every time I do this, because if you got a speaker going, then maybe
I'm sharing the voicemail. Hold on. How about now?
Is it better?
Is it? I don't know.
I don't have an echo now.
Okay, it was because I was sharing my screen for the voicemail and I had the audio, but the audio is also
That's what
the
it
stream.
was. Thank you. Derp to derp. Where'd Bill go?
See, this is what happens when Andreas leaves. Is it just turns into an amateur hour.
Yeah, it sounded like a My Morning Jacket concert there for a while with the reverb, but
it's totally true. Yeah, he said.
I didn't work at CNN. I can't tell you what,
right.
you know.
And NASA. Yeah. All right.
Back to Brian Johnson, man.
Who?
So Brian Johnson, longevity
Mushrooms.
man, Mr. Natural, taking all the the right vitamins, eating the right diet, getting all his vitals measured every day. He says, I'm going to do a heroic dose of mushrooms this weekend to see if it extends my life, because I'm going to track all these levels in my body. And everyone's like, oh no. Everyone's so worried. They're like, he doesn't know.
He doesn't know what?
Well, he's like, should I live stream it? And then someone's like, oh, he definitely doesn't know.
Right, but he's not just eating mushrooms. He's eating McKenna's prescribed heroic dose of 5 grams. So he's just like
5
going
dried
there.
grams. Is the formula.
True. Yeah.
But like, he has essentially done a sort of modified Abram Malin ritual, and that he has purified his system so completely over the last few years that he's going to throw this lightning bolt into his amygdala. And if he live streams it and the world goes into that noggin of his, it'll either be illumination or damnation. I mean, it's a very sensitive balance, but that's going on right now. I'm just wondering if anyone in the comments has seen.
Is
any
he actually
updates on
live streaming it?
He asked people if he should. He put out like a 20-minute video, I think, as he dosed. But like, oh man, I felt like saying a little prayer for the dude.
Dude, Eric Bassett in the comments says maybe he'll be normal now.
Well, a lot of people are saying maybe he'll give this shit up. Maybe he'll stop micromanaging every white and red blood cell in his body.
Oh shit.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. If he'll get the download to like that, it's like human life is not worth extending all that long, and that there's like better worlds than this.
Or maybe that he's a narcissistic prick.
Well, and then also just his last name. It's like mushrooms are a phallic symbol, and so is his last name, Johnson. So.
Oh, you're right. It's got.
But hear me out too.
phenomenon
There's also a very real scenario where he just adds another level of annoyingness to like the psychedelic shroom world already.
Right.
You know, like the gatekeeping, but also just like the weird tech, like what they did to LSD and microdosing is coming for shrooms. I guess it's been there because people have been microdosing shrooms for over a decade now.
Mm-hmm.
It's really weird though, because since COVID, like so many things have changed since COVID, and I really feel like the mushrooms, like I associate mushrooms with the underworld, and it feels like we went into like a type of underworld after COVID because everybody started doing mushrooms. Like my like normie friends are like taking mushrooms before they go to the movies now every time, or like any type of outing, everybody's on mushrooms. There's like the mushroom coffee that people started drinking. Like it's everywhere.
You know,
I mean,
yeah. Sorry.
It's hard to say everyone. You know, like
I'm not. So there's that.
A lot of people don't even go near like psychedelic. Like if everyone's smoking weed, then everyone isn't smoking. Everyone isn't taking psychedelics, right? Like there's a hierarchy to that shit, right?
Okay, it's fair. I exaggerated that. Just like a lot of people in my circle.
But how many people come up to you with a breakthrough story about mushrooms? Or do you hear more breakthrough positive, or do you hear more nightmare,
Yes.
never going to do that?
No, I hear more breakthrough positive with mushrooms by far. Yeah. Even heroic doses, whatever. Probably even more so, actually. But yeah, no. I mean, I was just thinking of Steve Jobs. I had a friend who worked in the same, like, worked alongside Steve Jobs, and he was like, he would shout at people across the office, like somebody's new, especially, like he was he'd, you know, be shouting at them to go home, drop acid, come back with something creative, like, because that was like his whole origin story. Was like he was trying to sell like computers that basically they had like wooden frames, you know. He's like trying to sell them door to door and like get people interested, and he was just like, their business was going under, and he was just like, what do we do? And he's like, had like a sheet of like sunshine acid, and like went to these guys who are all these, you know, like nerds basically, like they weren't hip people, you know, and he's like, let's just say screw it, let's eat some acid, see what happens. And they kind of told Steve Jobs to go, you know, whatever. They weren't taken to it, and he just took everyone's. The story goes in his autobiography that he took everyone's dose to himself at one time of just like all this sunshine acid. And it was like after that everything just like took off for Apple. You know, he had to put everything in order. So for the rest of his career, he was advising people to take LSD to assist with their creativity. And if somebody came on board and he felt they weren't creative, he'd be like, "Go home, do this." Come back to me with some, you know, like, because that's what he did. So, yeah.
You know what's funny is that I would imagine that there's a segment of the population that still believes that Steve Jobs' genius, if we're going to call it that, is more profound than Elon Musk's genius. But Steve Jobs couldn't code.
Are you at distance from your phone? Sorry, I'm listening, but can you? I'm not getting much.
Can you hear me?
Oh, there we go.
There we go.
Yeah, now you're back.
So Steve Jobs considered a genius in tech, but he couldn't code. He wasn't a coder. he wasn't hands-on with getting the programming developed. He was just, I want this, make it happen. I'm not sure. I think Steve Jobs was more like that than Elon Musk is. I know that there's a huge team behind
Elon Musk is really similar to Bill Gates in that specific way of like people that do the work, and then he's like, not just taking credit. He's like, this is my doing. Steve Jobs wasn't really like that. Like Steve Jobs, there was no fronting. Like he's got people doing this stuff for him, but it's not a secret. Whereas with Bill Gates, he kind of projected like, that this is all me or whatever, and it wasn't.
I feel like Elon is closer to Kubrick than Steve Jobs in that he had the technical ability, but he wasn't going to be able to be everywhere all at once on every part of the development. And he could hire people with the same meticulous type of work ethic to make sure that they could deliver results at the kind of standards that he demanded. But I feel like Steve Jobs was more like a Spielberg, maybe.
Well, let me butt in here too, because Steve Jobs always gets all this credit of being like this woke boss that would assign LSD to his workers. That was also Henry Luce. As soon as Robert Gordon Wasson was funded to go and find magic mushrooms to begin with, and Salvia divinorum, by the way, the same trip, he got both of them, and he comes back and he tells Henry Luce all about these magic mushrooms, and Henry Luce is just like falls in love with psychedelics immediately, falls in love with LSD. In fact, there's this really great autobiography by Cary Grant, or like an authorized biography of him. And it talks about how he was one of the very first that introduced Hollywood to LSD, because he had a doctor that was charging him like $200, not adjusted for inflation, $200 at the time for a single trip. And that it would take about 2 hours or maybe like 4 hours, and you would just go into this doctor's office, take some LSD, and then sit there and like talk with them. And then eventually it turned into like a party drug, and more people got invited. But so Henry Luce, he gets put on to magic mushrooms and LSD, and he had the exact same reputation that if you worked for him in Time Life magazine, that he would tell you like, you need to go and take LSD. Like before, like if you're at a creative block or the material that I'm reading isn't up to snuff, here's the solution. Go take LSD. And he would even encourage people to come into work on LSD. And he himself did it. And then his wife becomes known as the magic mushroom lady. And then here's this article, Claire Booth Luce, patrician acid head. And I just got to mention that, I don't know if this should come as a shock to anybody, but Henry Luce was a member of Skull and Bones. He was a tapped member, Yale's Secret Society Skull and Bones, and he was in the Century Club, which I think is where he knew Robert Gordon Wasson through, along with a few other like JFK level assassination people. So I always found that like Henry Luce was the original Steve Jobs in this regard, but he's like infinitely more fascinating.
He kind of spells his name like Luce, like Lucifer, or Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds. Wasn't that like an acronym for LSD?
Right. So John denied that on some late night show, one of the big ones. But years later, I believe it was Ringo was like, well, obviously that's what it was. Because he's like, John got all offended when it came up, and he was like, it's a drawing my son did. I don't know why. I sound more Irish, but yeah, he had this whole negative reaction to that and was just like dismissed it. And then years later, Ringo was like, duh. And you want to be an idiot if you didn't see that was clearly an anagram for LSD. But, Lenny Bruce, he did DMT before almost anybody. And, Bill has a recording of him talking about it.
Yeah, he does that at Berkeley. He went to UCLA. He does maybe about 6 months before he died, he does a 50-minute, at colleges, people come to speak. They had Lenny Bruce go to UCLA. I'm pretty sure it was UCLA. And it's such a lucid and great 45 minutes of him talking. But near the end, he discusses taking DMT. And he's like, I smoked this stuff until the jewels fell out of my eyes. And He fell out of the apartment window and he fell 3 stories, did like a perfect double loop, landed on his ankles and broke his ankles.
Oh my God.
And so he says he's in the hospital and the doctor is patching him up. He goes, what happened to you? He goes, well, I took DMT. And the doctor goes, DMT? How did you get that? That's a military drug.
At that point, yeah. Well, so it's happening now. Is this? Are you looking at something
So I
live?
found here as of an hour ago. There's 2 updates actually. One's even more recent. So here it says an hour ago. It's around 1 hour since he took his 5-gram dose of magic mushrooms. Observations so far. So an hour in, I think I'm just gonna say I think that's mostly psychosomatic, right? It takes about as long as it would take to digest food, which is typically like 2 hours. But this guy's got so many like chemicals and nutrients. Maybe his body's just like operating faster. But it says
What a type A to have like to done all that after taking his mushrooms. Like he can't even chill and like take his mushroom dose.
Right.
You got to give
Love
like
the-
a 20-point Twitter update.
well, it sounds like someone else is in charge of this because it's talking in third person.
Yeah.
So loves the drum music he's listening to. So apparently he started learning the style of drums years ago. Describe the dose as calm and pleasant. He's having a lovely time. Sense of time is definitely warped. He thinks more time has passed than it has. Thinks he has peaked. That's actually a pretty funny one when someone's like on the roller coaster and it's like not even a quarter of the way up the hill and they're like,
It hasn't
wow,
tipped
this
yet."
was great. Like, when do we come down? He felt, what happened? He felt a strong desire to look after the people in the room, checking if we're okay. Asked me if I had eaten. We told him that we're all good, blah, blah, blah. Visible hallucinations are happening. My face and trees are alive and moving. As I typing this, he started giggling. He's having a fantastic time. This sounds like a horrible way to have your
Sounds
first version of
anal.
this as like an audience. That sounds like the worst possible version.
Yeah.
This is like, bro, like, is this not MK Ultra? Like what they were
That's where
doing
that's where
directly?
this was reminding me of Ken Kesey's recordings when they were actually like trying to ask him all these questions around what is happening, like analyzing him from without. So yeah.
This is a little bit over the top too. Update 2, he needs to pee.
Oh God.
Upon returning, he stared at his cup for 10 minutes. Okay.
I just want him to rise out of that bed, like when the zombies awake.
When was
Just
this?
shoom, the
Okay.
head goes up, and all of a sudden, where am I?
I like this. Is he crying? Not yet.
Not yet.
I like that response. Not yet. I think that's it. I think that's the last update was 28 minutes ago as of right now.
Wait a second. The banner says "Don't die."
No, that was something else, I think.
Oh, yeah. Funny. Well, that's a show apparently.
What did he just sign up for? Does he even know?
Yeah. It's funny. He's apparently going to go through an ego death. So, but that doesn't count as part of the body.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, if you think about it, like that's like, back in the day when you'd see the shift with somebody like the Beatles were one thing, and then the Beatles took acid and they were something else, So it's like there's that like, like they weren't square, but there was a whole other thing. My mom describes when they did the first real music video that she'd ever really seen, because there's like, sections of like there's like Elvis had like, Jailhouse Rock, but that was in the movie, and they took the section out of it and you'd be like, there's a music video. But the Beatles couldn't show up for was it Johnny Carson, Bill? I can't remember. And they sent in a video of the video for Strawberry Fields. And my mom describes like when she saw it on regular television, she's like, this is Johnny Carson, and they played this video, and she was like, they just showed everybody an acid trip. She was like, on television. Like it was like this crazy, like, wow. So this feels kind of similar. It's like, I mean, I guess now everything's gone mainstream, but still it's like all these people who wouldn't otherwise necessarily be exposed to it, because this guy's got a lot of followers, right? I mean, but it's so anal. You know what I mean? It's just like feels so uptight. Like,
Well, being anal actually is on brand because Aleister Crowley is at the heart of most of this. Check this out. There was a fork in the road in which the first wave of psychedelics came here. If you would, because for the most part, no one cared what the Native Americans had to say, and they called mescaline and peyote. They called it like devil weed or something. Like it was a thing to be eradicated, not something anyone was terribly interested in because it was for like poor people and Native Americans. Like ew, right? That was like the initial settlers. So then the actual interest in mescaline came through one of two occult channels, and there's really no other option. One is that it came from Aleister Crowley, and here's an example. And I don't think that this one's correct, but there was a line of thinking that Crowley is the one that introduced Aldous Huxley to mescaline in pre-war Berlin, but that the only other option, if it wasn't through Crowley, then there's I think this one's the accurate one. It was documented that Huxley got his first dose of mescaline from a guy named John Smithies, or it might have been Osmond, one of the two, and they were the ones that were funded by the Scottish Rite in the 1950s to do all of this research into like adrenal secretions, is what I'll say on that. So like, but that's literally the only two stories about how Aldous Huxley got his paws on mescaline to begin with, is either Aleister Crowley himself, less credible, or MK Ultra Scottish Rite funded doctors. So I just think that's wild that even so now we've got mescaline came from the CIA. I'll just like group it all together, or from Crowley, and then magic mushrooms and salvia all came from intelligence agencies.
right.
Like objectively.
William Welsh in the comments says William S. Burroughs. That was ayahuasca. He was like one of the very earliest known Westerners to, and he made it. There's actually a short documentary where he speaks to it, where he was.
That and Bulbocaine, and I think Bulbocaine was one of the things that was used to do medically induced comas. Like that started from the discovery of that drug, of like giving someone a certain amount over, and he described that as I'm scrubbing on the name, but it was like Dr. Bentov or Dr. Benton that he wrote about in Naked Lunch, I think.
Benway,
Dr. Benway, which was based on something that you'd have to have known, some kind of military intelligence, to even know what this guy was doing at those high levels, because he was operating on like prisoners and soldiers and people that didn't necessarily have a way to cohesively communicate, hey, here's what Benway's doing. But yet, like the description of Benway and all of his techniques were so dead on. So there's a lot of speculation, like how did he know the inner workings of how it actually works?
He knew people as circles, and also just like if you're providing people with things that they wouldn't otherwise have access to, like you're already on a level of communication with them where you might get privy to things that other regular people wouldn't be privy to.
But if you're like a dope dealer for a 4-star general, you might hear cooler stories.
And the same thing is true for Terrence McKenna. Like people jump to this thing that like he was Central Intelligence because he talked about the meaning of Central Intelligence and all this stuff. It's like these people talk to people. The Grateful Dead, Jerry Garcia, they talk to people, and they had a connection with people that's unlike just a regular connection. Like if you give somebody, just say for example, you give somebody LSD at a party and they don't know you very well, if they see you throughout the party or afterwards into the future, you're a guru to them. Like you are that person that gave them the sacrament. You know what I mean? Like they're like, you will get imbued in their mind. So like these are people that were providing people. They weren't just like regular drug dealers. They were like, here's something special. And then they have a different relationship. So they'll tell them things and meet people. And these are circles that all got, like there's overlap. And it's also money, people. If you look back through history and you see these people that are like so well known, you're like, oh my God, how did this person know this person? It's like, well, the rich people were further in between. And if you had money, you knew the other people who had money. It's just the way it goes. You're like, talk about like even before the jet set. But when you get to the jet set, then it's even more so because it's like these people are just, oh, I want to meet this person. You decide you want to meet somebody. It's like what just happened with Trudeau and Katy Perry. It's like, I don't know what happened there. Like I can only speculate. But my guess is he saw her on a screen, probably got a stiffy, and was like, I want to meet her. And it's like, well, you're Trudeau, you can. Like if I, saw somebody
Isn't
on the
this
screen,
how
it's
we
like,
got the new royal family too? Like that, like he was watching an episode of Suits and he was like, "Mummy,
yeah.
Mummy, I want that."
Yeah. I'll have that, please.
Yeah.
Can you send that over to me? And they're like, yeah, right away, sir. We'll see what we can do. And she's into it, and he's into it. It's like, I guess we got this going. Like not everybody. Can
I don't want to
that.
imply no agency, but it does seem that if you're a royal, that's the only way that you can even prove to yourself you have that power is to just be like that thing. I want that. Bring it to me now.
That's it.
There's a famous Tiger Woods story of Tiger Woods going out to a club or a big party when he was just kind of coming on the scene, and he was with Michael Jordan and Charles Barkley, right? And so Tiger, his ascendancy, he was like 20 years old, 21 years old. He was a kid who was a millionaire from Titleist money, and he had the world by the balls. So he's at this club, and everyone's mingling and everyone's socializing, loosening up. And Tiger's just kind of sitting by himself. And so I don't know if it was Jordan specifically who went up to him, but hey, Tiger, what's up, man? Why are you so stiff? Wait, come join the party. Come hang out. He's like, I see all these attractive women. What do you say to them? And Michael Jordan says, hi, I'm Tiger Woods.
right. Say your name. Yeah.
You don't really got to say much, man, because words don't really matter in this situation. Just go, just do. But speaking of Ben's,
yeah,
I always thought that, the Hellfire Club in Paris?
Of course.
That's where Ben Franklin used to go, right?
Right. It's not just Paris, though, right?
Allegedly.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure that Ben Franklin did mescaline in France at the Hellfire Club.
Right. Well, we've talked about this before. We know for a fact, based on documentation, that the early Freemasonry, talking about before Albert Pike, and probably after too, but we know before, this is documented, that ayahuasca, this is Amazonian brew, a psychedelic Amazonian brew, was given to initiates at a certain stage. And so talk about something that predates Burroughs, and when we are like, so I think that it's really kind of interesting. Like, there's
another version of that too, where it was acacia, because acacia is also a precursor for DMT.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. Isn't that the type of wood that's in the Bible?
Yeah, it's what the tabernacle was built out of, and it's even what the Ark of the Covenant was built out of. It's
in Masonry, it's one of the most sacred symbols.
Right.
That represents reincarnation, and it's where you're able to find the god that the ruffians have killed, or at least the master builder that the three ruffians killed. They find his body because they find an acacia spray growing out of the ground.
And there's different types of acacia, so there's like the eastern acacia or whatever. I'm no expert, but I will say that I transcribed the section of the Tanakh. I believe it's in the book of, is it First Kings, I think, where it's describing the temple incense, and it lists off a bunch of ingredients, and it's like a lot of the ingredients, they literally don't know what they were. Like, they're words in Hebrew, but they're like, I don't know what this is. But acacia is included in the temple incense. So not only do we know that the tabernacle was built out of acacia, because it says so, but we know that whatever they were hotboxing this room, right, with this, it's not just like, oh, I'm going to light some Nag Champa. This is like a big container, and they're just filling the room with smoke. And a lot of the ingredients, we don't even know what they are, but among those are ingredients that we know for a fact had psychedelic properties. So they're getting high. Like, this is not debatable.
Do you think acacia and Akashic records are linked?
I don't think that there's an etymological connection, but perhaps synchronistic.
I want to point out too, David, the Masons or Ben Franklin and the Hellfire Club are like these old secret societies doing psychedelics. Like, in my mind, that's literally what the original secret societies were formed over. Like the ancient secret mystery schools, they used to eat kykeon, right? And this was like the cult of Demeter, and I can't remember the exact name of this particular cult, but it's the one that they're all fashioned after, and it was intentionally used the same way in like a MK Ultra trauma programming response way. But you had the authors and masters of Greek tragedy and like playwriting, along with creating these crazy effects that no one had at the time to simulate lightning and weird forms of lighting and heat and cold, and like having sense on the go, and having all that be your first time that you trip, and for a lot of people the only time that you trip. And the rumor was that Alexander went there as along with like Diogenes of Sinope. So like, you had like the poorest of people were invited, the richest of people were invited, men and women were invited, but you're only allowed to go there one time because it was seen as like this profane thing. And that was one of the punishments. They had a blood oath. It was like, we will kill you if you reveal these secrets. But revealing the secret was to like smuggle some out or make it on your own and then give it out at a dinner party, because it was seen as this violation of such a sacred learning event that shouldn't be done outside this very specific, ritual. It's kind of how people treat ayahuasca now. It's like, how dare you hit that DMT vape pen while you're playing GTA 6? You have to fly to Colombia to do that.
Though I don't think you should be playing GTA 6 smoking a vape.
I do.
Yeah.
I absolutely do.
I don't know, but the way, like, not that you shouldn't as a judgment, but just like what potential exists here, because these things they're not like the way we treat drugs. I think is kind of weird sometimes, where it's like a spectator type thing, where you're like, you take this thing, these things happen, that's that. Like there is a
you better put on a good show for me. Yeah,
there's a participatory element to it that doesn't have to be like I think at the same time you go extreme the other direction, you end up being too anal, like this guy doing mushrooms at this moment. You know what I mean? Where it's just like, I mean, maybe that's what's best for him. That's his journey or whatever. But like I look at like what the Dionysian theater was as described by Nietzsche in The Birth of Tragedy from the Spirit of Music, and like it feels like it's not like that is a directed thing. Like if I drop acid and I go for a car ride, like I'm driving my car, it feels like kind of like it's what I'm going to drive perfectly. Like if I get pulled over, I'll walk the line perfectly for the cop if he says walk this line, but I'll do it in a really interesting way. So it's like
we're not advocating to drive on psychedelics.
Well, right, but my point is that it feels like a waste to me of the potential that exists there, not just like what I'm putting out into the world, but even for myself and my own, like, what am I doing with this moment? But then again, all moments are holy. We walk around like there's all these, there's holy moments and there's all the other moments, but what about this moment right now? Like, this is a holy moment. Let's have a holy moment,
Right. Yeah. I mean, I've got a similar, like, I remember, I don't know, like 13, 14. It was when Small Soldiers came out, and I had the opportunity to partake in something, and it seemed like the greatest idea at the time. And it was just like the biggest waste. It just, because you're sitting in a dark room and all of the sensory is being fed to you, and you don't have to like create things. And it was only after the movie ended and the lights came on, you walk around and you're like among people, like then it's like starts to kick in. So there's definitely a way that you can waste it, but also I guess the point being made is that there, like, if there was a spectrum, the two extremes are like not like just watching a movie and not doing anything, go and watching Small Soldiers in the theater. And then there's the version where you have to fly to Colombia and have like an ancient shaman come and beat you with like a palm metal leaf, and then you gotta throw up a few times and cry and then do it again. And you know what I mean? Like, you're not allowed to touch your phone. And I feel that there's definitely somewhere in between where like you're allowed to like drink Mountain Dew and play a video game while also reaching some next level and talking to God.
Sure.
Well, like psychedelics were always connected to religion, right? And so it's interesting that in the 20th century, Western civilization rediscovered psychedelics.
Through Gordon Wasson.
Mm-hmm. Right. Well, yeah. And then became like an initiatory ritual almost for many people who then rediscovered some form of spirituality through it, right? Because it was always like, you're going to these ancient mystery schools, you're going into the cave with the lights and everything, but you're literally invoking these archetypes and these gods, right? And so we've been detached from that, but a lot of people, you use psychedelics and start to rediscover psi abilities, you rediscover spirits, you make contact with aliens, you know, like it's been a re-enchanting as well.
Dude, I just realized I made a reference. I was looking at the comments, and it's like the guy that I was referencing, who's in Waking Life, who says that thing about the holy moment sequence. That guy made a documentary called "In the Bathtub of the World," which is really good, where he filmed himself every day for a year. And at one point in the middle of that movie, he takes a bunch of mushrooms and films himself on mushrooms. And like, just like as part of his, you know, this is what I did, so this is what I'm filming.
Tripping with
fun.
Kaveh.
Thank
Waking
you.
Life is set in Austin, right?
The
Yes.
film itself was set in Austin. Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, Richard
because that's where
Linklater
Alex
was-
Jones lived. That was Richard Linklater. Yeah, totally.
Huh.
You guys were talking about tripping while playing video games. Have you guys heard that like kids who like focus on video games, who do like 10 hours of video games a day, don't dream? Has anyone else heard that?
I haven't heard that,
No,
no.
wow.
Yeah, that's something that I'd read somewhere, which is interesting because you start putting all that imaginative energy, and which is essentially spiritual energy, into this simulated world, right? And no judgment call there. Maybe that's
No, there
better
shouldn't
world
be.
than ours.
In fact, that was what Krishnamurti said, that there's like a level of when you're absolutely alert throughout the day, it's possible not to dream, and that you're actually getting another level of rest. So I don't even necessarily know if that's a bad thing per se. Ultimately, it's just I guess there's other avenues that you could achieve that, not through video games, is the point. But yeah,
Right.
Have you guys heard of the Tetris effect before? So
Maybe.
it's
What do
actually
you got?
named after this now. That when the Tetris video game came out, there were so many people that were hooked on it and playing it nonstop that your normal waking patterns start to fit the game. So as you walk around in your house, you're literally like imagining if you were to sit down on your couch that you have to be a certain piece that would like fit with the couch piece. And it's a mental switch, and that people also repeated that their dreams would reflect this. So if you play Tetris all day,
Oh, yeah.
then your mind continues to play Tetris
Oh, dude,
even while
I
you're
had that
sleeping.
with trimming weed, dude. I'd like.
So yeah, well that's essentially it's not like only Tetris causes it. This is the Tetris
Right.
effect, and it's the same
Tetris
thing
effect.
that if you're and I when I was learning software development like early on, like in life, that I would be like just nose deep in these books, and I would be the same thing. I'd wake up out of bed and be like, me dot awake equals true, and that was just like it took a while to snap out of this Tetris effect.
Well, do you know who died this week? The guy who came up with the DNA sequence.
Oh,
Cr-
you
uh,
realized the spiral
correct.
nature of it on acid?
Yeah. So, but there was another guy who also realized the structure, but he was having a fever dream.
Wow.
And so
Well, isn't
with the
that-
Hellfire Club, I think that if we're talking about the Tetris effect, if you were consumed by a task that you do daily for several hours a day, but you don't have access to chemicals, when you have that first break from your work because you get sick and you have a fever dream, I think it became common knowledge that these amazing insights would jump out at you during the fever dream. And I think the Hellfire Club is kind of saying, hey, these chemicals allow you to have a fever dream. That's why it's the Hellfire Club. And that these bright ideas flash at you in the sort of psychosis of fight or flight and survival in that sort of turbulence. And so they realized that if you did it with a certain amount of frequency and a certain amount of conditions, you could actually generate actual information that you could use in the real world.
Dude, there's a book called The Anesthetic Revelation, and it was by this guy named Paul Benjamin Blood or Benjamin Paul Blood. I always get those mixed up. But he went to, this was, man, I think it was like in the 19th century, and he had to go and get like a tooth extracted. And when he went to the dentist, the use of an anesthetic for nitrous oxide was like now becoming a thing. So he does the nitrous oxide, gets the teeth removed, and as he's walking back home and he's coming down, he swears that it was the first time in his life that he fully understood Hegel. But by the time he got home, he couldn't understand it anymore. And this wasn't a joke. He got so obsessed with this that he goes back to the dentist and he figures out a way that for the next 40 years of his life, I think, he continues to use nitrous oxide as an experiment. And his hypothesis was that when he goes to this nitrous oxide land, that he could talk to these ancient philosophers, these ascended masters, and he could learn all this info. But the second that the veil started to like dissolve and he had to come back in this world, that all that information kept getting lost. And he was like,
Yep.
if I can just grab like a 0.5% of it with me, and I just do it a few hundred times, and maybe I can piece together like actual ancient teachings that I'm getting from this other realm. And no one gives him credit because it was like nitrous and it wasn't something like sexy and cool like mushrooms or whatever, but it was the exact same premise.
No, nitrous is crazy like that. You know who did that too was freaking Mr. Scientology, L. Ron Hubbard. He was really into nitrous for the same reason. But it has that yeah, you're right. It has that El Dorado kind of thing going on where psychedelics in general have that, where it's like you go into this other place. I mean, this is kind of the premise of Bluebird, right? Is that you want to take the Bluebird back with you from this mythical place. Just like with El Dorado, you find the gold, but when you go to bring it back, it's just like dreams. You know, you're like, I found this thing, and then you like try to bring it and materialize it into the waking world, and it just like turns into dirt. Like the gold turns into dirt, or the Bluebird is just like, where did it go? Like, you know, it's like, but so that's why I love sync film stuff, actually. It's because it's like it's being a documentarian. It's like I went to this psychedelic place, but I can bring something back almost like in a scientific way, that it's like you can repeat this experiment, get these results, and here is the proof, you know? Because like, how do you go to a place where you see everything's connected, or not just connected, but like specifically like how so? You know what I mean?
Well,
Like,
that's
it's one
why
thing to say we're one, but how exactly? What does that mean? You know?
Well, that's why the Grateful Dead allowed people to tape their shows, right? Is because
Yeah.
you go to a Dead show, you would have the boundary dissolution and everything is right, and then the show's over and you can't get back there, and you wonder, did it really happen, or was I just hallucinating? And so these
Right.
tapers could give you a document of the show. So then when you're at home, you get that cassette of 1971 Fillmore, and you listen to it again. And I don't know if they were taping in the early 70s. I think it was more. Maybe they were. I think they were.
They were.
Okay. So
They're using DAT.
Yep.
yeah. So I mean, yeah, there is a way to bring something back, and I just wanted to run this by you guys again. The burning bush in the Bible, that was Moses, right?
That's Moses, yeah.
And so that's when he first sees the face of God, right?
No, he was never able to see the face of God. When he went to look at the face of God, all he could see was his back parts.
There is a passage that says that God spoke to him face to face, and that confused me because I saw the same thing, that he like flew by his back.
It's an English translation. If you dig into it, it doesn't actually, like, that's weird. That's the weird thing about all of that. But yeah, the Ehie. So he says, I am that I am. Who should I say has sent me, when he goes to Pharaoh, and the burning bush says, tell them I am that I am has sent you. And that word Ehie is very similar to Tetragrammaton, but it's I am that I am. Yeah.
So where did I pick up
yeah.
that the burning bush was acacia leaves?
A lot of people have argued that. Even people have said that it could be salvia, but it doesn't actually say, so that's conjecture. But I like the idea that it was that's the point, is that he's using a psychedelic to contact Adonai.
So
Is there
there
any
was a
evidence-
Hollywood movie. There was a Hollywood movie where they do depict the scene of Moses at the burning bush, and when the smoke gets to a certain point and he's enraptured by the smoke, it literally is a DMT/salvia trip.
Are
the
you
way they
talking
film
about Charles? What's his name?
Charlton Heston.
Yeah, Charlton Heston. Yeah. my
No,
God,
this
that
is from
name.
this is in the 2000s.
Oh, a later thing. Okay, cool. Yeah, I could see them playing on that more. Yeah, I can't even remember how they did the burning bush in the Ten Commandments with Charlton Heston, but yeah.
Is there any evidence of salvia in the Middle East?
Yeah, good question. I don't know.
That's
People make
weird
the
that
argument,
anyone would
but
go
yeah.
I know the answer to that. Hold on.
Of course you do.
I know the answer. No, in fact, salvia only exists in Oaxaca, Mexico, in a very specific tiny little region, and it's only there because it was so small that none of the conquistadors and like the wave of Europeans coming in, they didn't even know it existed. Otherwise, they would have eradicated it. And it's the only place that it's ever been known to grow in like recent human history, like last 100,000 years. So it's very unique in that case, and that's why it's flown under the radar for so long.
And how many plants have that square root that salvia has?
It's unique.
What even salvia, it's hard to nurture from a seed itself. Almost all of the salvia are clones that might have, like, a lot of people probably have a salvia clone, if they have salvia at all, that came directly from something that Robert Gordon Wasson originally touched, which is like, it's again wild to think about.
It's also a plant that's extremely sensitive to the light cycle. Like once you get to the fall equinox in the northern hemisphere, unless you're real close to the equator, it's gone. You need to keep lights on it. Like
it's fascinating to me, like
for the north.
how easy it would have been for salvia to never have existed at all, as far as we know, right? If it weren't for one guy, and if it weren't for the original Spanish, conquistadors like overlooking it, then it would have ceased to exist. And it is such a unique thing. It's one of those psychedelics that doesn't fit in the categories with all the other ones, because what it binds to, like, your kappa opioid receptor instead of your typical like serotonergic receptors, and that it was the one thing. It's like, hey, like everything that you thought that you were right about, here's this little foil in the plans. Here's this one thing that doesn't fit into what all of academia was saying, that all psychedelics had to be this serotonergic euphoric thing.
Yeah, I'm going to say my bit here, which is that I honestly believe all psychedelics should be legalized except for salvia. And
I thought I cured you.
I heard Eric Andre say it.
Fight.
What?
I thought we already had this fight.
This fight? Yeah, no, I'm going to stand my ground. Sorry.
Damn.
Yeah.
You can't argue with someone that lacks that much logic, so sure.
It's okay. Yeah. No, it's all right. The thing that we've had this discussion. The main thing that bugs me about salvia is that it's the one substance. Two things, actually. One is that it's the one substance I know
Maybe
that
three.
people completely forget altogether that they took a substance at all, and if what's happening to them is terrifying, like their face is falling apart, they actually believe it. Like, that's traumatic shit. The other thing is that it's the only psychedelic I know of. People used to say this about LSD. I've never experienced it. The flashback phenomenon. They're like, you crack your back and then you're high again. I've never had, like, I'm on acid for real, like, later on, But, like, with salvia, apparently, you can have distortions happen years following taking it, to the point that it interferes with your regular life. I've had two friends, close friends, that experienced this, and one of them had to freaking like leave the area and go back to his parents because he was seeing eyeballs popping out. He was like, I smoked DMT and now I'm seeing eyeballs everywhere months later. And I'm like, oh, what did the DMT look like? And he's like, oh yeah, it was green and leafy. I'm like, yeah, and he took a massive amount. So he took.
I don't know, man. That's too anecdotal to be scientific for me.
Right, but
I'm telling you, a direct experience with people.
That's literally the definition of anecdotal.
Any psychedelic opens up neural pathways.
Yeah, but what you have another explanation for seeing eyeballs pop out of freaking
but what I
crash
do
register?
have is that it would make it like such a unique drug that it would probably be investigated more if there was an actual true resonance that you could have like an LSD flashback, but then a salvia flashback would occur. Because the whole thing of an LSD like the myth was that it stores up in your spinal fluid, man. So when you like crack your back, it like secretes. And the same thing would probably have to be true for salvia, that there'd have to be a deposit of salverin A or salverin B that like
that gets lodged somehow in your body and then continues.
I don't think so, man. These are biodegradable, like biological things that your body over time is going to break down.
Explain schizophrenia then.
Well, you know what? I'll just throw this in there. I would say that I haven't had deja vu in about 15, 20 years. People don't really talk about deja vu at all anymore. Have you noticed that?
No, I have talked about it recently.
Okay, sweet. Okay, what I'm saying is deja vu can be frightening.
Yep.
And if the salvia experience is sort of like deja vu times 1,000 for me. And so if you had deja vu and you've never really heard of deja vu and it wasn't like a cultural meme, because I don't feel like it's a cultural meme anymore, you could confuse a naturally occurring mystery of the brain. I don't know if they've ever explained deja vu, and confuse it for that space. And you could get anxiety thinking, oh shit, I'm back to that timeless, spaceless void. So
What
that's
did
kind of
Philip
where
K.
I'm
Dick
at with it.
say about what was Philip K. Dick's anecdotal experience of the deja vu thing, as he described it with that time in France or whatever when he was talking about the Matrix?
Oh, his 2374
He
event?
literally said you would be experiencing life as like a perpetual deja vu or something like that.
I can't think of the exact quote, but keep going.
Yeah, no, he's talking about Frontline Tears, the policeman said, and Man in the High Castle, and the idea that some of the things in his book were like absolutely real, and he used deja vu as a
We got a quote.
descriptor.
We got a quote.
Okay, cool.
And this might as well say Benjamin Franklin at the bottom, right? But it says, we're living in a computer program reality, and the only clue we have is to when some variable is changed or some alteration in reality occurs, we have an overwhelming impression we're reliving the present, aka deja vu.
Right, there you go.
So he used that as proof of computer simulated reality. And that's the same thing in the Matrix, is that they'd be like, oh, that's weird. I saw a cat run by, and then I looked away, and then I just saw the cat run by again. And he's like, oh my God, that's a glitch in the Matrix. It means that Agent Smith has like made some subtle change, and the Matrix has just been updated, and you just saw a glitch in the Matrix. It was originally deja vu, right?
To be
Right.
fair, that speech is what he was thinking on that day. Because if you read the exegesis, he was constantly changing his theory about things. And it is interesting that his science fiction brain would go to computer programmed and the sort of like, oh, we're living in a simulation. Because sometimes there are different layers of reality that are interacting on a fundamental level and not just a computer simulation. He wasn't always on, like, he changed his mind day by day. Like,
yeah, but
you read
even
the
if you listen to the rest of that talk at that event, he doesn't, like, he goes in all kinds
Right.
of different directions with it.
Right.
So yeah.
Right.
He walked the room with that speech, man. It did not go over
Yeah,
well,
dude.
man.
Look at the expression of some of the people's faces. Like, there's one woman there who's just like, you can see she's like trying to process it. Like, whoa, shit. Like,
The
you know,
best
just-
thing about exegesis is his letters. He's like writing letters to like his publisher. Like, listen, the nature of reality is this,
Yeah,
and it's just like
yeah.
that. This is what
Well,
I've
he was pre-internet.
Yeah.
Internet. You know, much like McKenna, he was pre-internet. He's just like, there are channels for me to talk to people without being in that place. I'm going to use every single opportunity to continue this conversation at all costs. I'm going to he was launching memes constantly.
He also
No,
hated computers. He wouldn't even use an electric typewriter. He didn't want to
doesn't
get involved
surprise
with
me
computers
at all.
whatsoever.
Yeah. Crowley, his book Magic Without Tears, I think is my favorite bit of Crowley work, and it's not like intended for publication. It's literally just correspondences with, I believe, like his female students. So it's just like you get a real sense of like who the guy was from those letters, more so than like his actual, written, his prose or whatever, because like, those feel more contrived than just like when he's like, because it's his humor comes through, like it's so like hilarious and authentic,
I always think of that title as a pun. Tears, Tears, and Tears, Tiers. It's his most common layman explanation to these housewives that were writing him letters, and he's explaining it at a very elementary level. Because I think his book Wisdom or Folly, the Book of Wisdom or Folly, it's like it went too
right.
It went too far into trying to draw the esoteric into the language, and to me, it's my least favorite book of his. Even though it looks amazing, it just falls flat. And you're right, Magic Without Tears, something that Book of Wisdom or Folly, he's putting out to try to shock the world into realization, but it kind of flops. But the thing that he wasn't going to put out for publication, Magic Without Tears, which is a collection that I think Regarde helped put out, it just hit so hard.
Yeah, I always get concerned. I'm like, why edit him at all? Like, I want to read the autohagiography where they're like, oh, he was just nodding out. We had to take out like huge chunks of this book. I'm like, don't. Like, just give it to us straight, man. Like, I don't, Israel Regarde, I'm like, so he has a feud with somebody and we're going to rely on him to give us these edited translations. But whatever the case, it's so accessible and it's such a great book. I say this having read like 50 Crowley books, and I can say that because I included in that his autohagiography, Confessions, is like one book. But like I've read, however many pamphlets too are included within that, so that number. But like I'm just saying, like I'm not to brag, but I've read a lot of Crowley. This is my absolute favorite bit of writing from Crowley, and it's just yeah.
Have you read Dianetics?
I've read a lot of Dianetics, not the whole thing. I kept on having a problem because we'd have like fires in a place I used to live. Like we'd have like a outdoor fire we'd sit around, and I just love to throw it in the fire. So like I've gone through so many copies of Diuretics because I'm just like, Diuretics, book will change your life, and throw it in the fire while we're all sitting around tripping or whatever. It's a Repo Man reference, because the guy throws, the scene in Repo Man where he's like, notice how everyone's into weirdness right now, books in all the supermarkets about flying saucers, UFOs, how the Mayans invented television. No, I don't read them books. Well, the way I see it is exactly the same. There ain't no difference between a flying saucer and a time machine. Everybody gets hung up on specifics. They miss out on seeing the whole thing. Take South America, for example. South America, thousands of people go missing every year, but nobody knows where they go. They just like disappear. But if you think about it, there had to be a time when there was no people, right? Where did all these people come from? I'll tell you. The future. And where did all these people disappear to? The past? That's right. And how'd they get there? Flying saucers, which are really, yeah, you got it, time machines. I think a lot about this kind of stuff. I do my best thinking on the bus. That's how come I don't drive. See, you don't even know how to drive. That's right. I don't want to learn. I don't want to know. See, the more you drive, the less intelligent you are.
The stream just got taken down for copyright strike.
Did it really? No, you're joking. You're joking.
But it was actually because we talked about Dianetics.
I was open to that there was another explanation, but yeah, there you go. Okay, that's funny. Yeah, Diuretics.
Hey, I wanted to bring something up. You guys have Memorial Day on 11/11, right? Is that Memorial?
If you say so.
That's Veterans Day.
Veterans Day. Sorry, is that what it is?
Yeah.
So do you guys have the poppy imagery down there?
Yes. The Shriners used to hand out the poppies.
Okay. It's an interesting thing because up here now the basis, at least what we're told in Canada for the poppy imagery, is going back to World War I, and it was this one soldier that died who wrote this poem in Flanders Fields. Do you guys know that, or is this more of a Canadian thing? You do know it.
It's supposed to look like blood, right? Aren't the red poppies supposed to look like blood?
Well, not officially, but yes, right? Because I
thought that was official. Yeah.
Well, maybe it is. It also relates to the fact that, at least what I was taught in school, was that the poppy was the heroin that they'd give to the dying soldiers. Mm-hmm. Okay. But here's the thing: is that it's people who don't want to use the poppy because they're pacifists, right? They tried to come up with a white poppy, and they tried to use this white poppy and say, hey, we want to honor the sacrifice and everything, but we're pacifists and we don't support war. And they're like, this isn't about war. This has nothing to do with war. This isn't honoring war. But then why are you angry about the white poppy? So it seems like the whole purpose is the red, the blood, right? That blood imagery. Because then you go to like cenotaphs in Canada, and the wording on them seem like it's a sacrificial ritual. Like the wording is to our glorious dead. Not to the people who sacrifice themselves, but to the death itself. To our
so it's dead. Apparently it's both, right? So it says here that after on the battlefields of France and Belgium during World War I, that red poppies were the first things to pop up from those battlefields. So then it turned into a folklore that like, oh well, the red poppies are literally coming from the blood from this battlefield. So now they represent the blood. So I think it's always been the two. It's not like
it started as one got adopted. Bough, right? Is the whole idea that when a bunch of people die in a field, that like the flowers that bloom in their place out of the decomposition are that much more beautiful and whatever.
Right.
Oh, there's all my people. How's it going?
Hey.
Oh, hey.
Nice.
I'm here with Ian Crossland. We're shooting a graphene documentary in Texas at Rice University.
Nice.
How's it been?
Pretty good. That's great.
We're keeping the movement going with or without you.
That's kind of like Jesus. Thank you. I appreciate that.
So
It's been one.
Hey, it's Andreas, our white poppy.
Is that like a heroin joke? Wait, poppies like
we were just talking about the poppies and Remembrance Day, Veterans Day. But what I wanted to finish was that they say that it's not pro-war, right? But the poem that this whole imagery is based on has the line within it, to take up our quarrel with the dead, we will not rest in our graves unless you keep fighting. And they have kids like mindlessly reciting this. And then if you don't support a red poppy, you're somehow being disrespectful.
Where have all the flowers gone? Young girls pick them every one. They laid them on the graves of the soldiers. When will they ever learn?
Oh, that's disrespectful. You can't say that. But
well, if you think about Oz, what surrounds the city of Oz?
Poppies.
Fields of red poppies.
Yeah.
And a barren wasteland, right? Of desert.
So the other thing is that we're honoring this numerology ritual, right? Because they signed the declaration at 11/11/11/11. And so like there's all these people dying and they're like, wait, hold on. We don't have the number yet. Which also happens to fall within Scorpio season, which is Mars ruled, right? So it's like, and Mars, the color of Mars is red, on and on. It's like, I don't know. It's just such a psyop to be like, this isn't pro-war.
11 is like a portal number too.
Right.
So this week, we've been interviewing all of these people, and you're going to get, I mean, obviously, you can't wait to see it. You can't wait to see it. It's going to be an incredible documentary, and I'm not kidding. It's probably one of the best documentaries ever. The devil's in the detail, but God's in the graphene. But we've been interviewing all of these guys, starting all of these different companies. And there's just so many amazing things they're doing that are disruptive technology that I wouldn't have fathomed was possible. It's like Star Trek level stuff. They're going to save the world and make the world a better place.
No, it's like it would only, if I allow myself to think that it's hard to believe, that would be bad. It's actually easy to believe. Dude, something changed when the internet popped open, that just this blooming rapid expansion of consciousness and thoughts, and like, the amalgamation of ideas. And it's really awesome to watch it happening at the molecular and the submolecular level.
One of the guys we talked to,
we moved from morphine to graphene. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Well, it actually, what we're doing is we're staying on war, because one of the reasons that so much of this technology is incentivized, the stuff that we're most interested in has a lot to do with medicine and saving lives and blowing up cancer cells and all this other stuff. But it's war that finances so much of this stuff, that incentivizes, like, hey, if China's doing it and Russia's doing it, we better beat them in the graphene race and the carbon nanotube race, right? And if it weren't for war, it wouldn't be happening. So we've talked to all these kids, and some of these kids are young and hungry, and they want to make some money. And so we're talking about, what's amazing is they're very spiritual. A lot of these guys in Texas are very spiritual people. It's Sunday and we went to church with it's really interesting that if you believe in miracles, you believe in outside of the box things like resurrections and things like that, that it's actually complementary and helpful to them coming up with new technologies and new solutions to things. It helps that they're not that they aren't disbelieving in miracles and the impossible. They believe in the impossible and making the impossible happen. But so they're also trying to make the world a better place. And I said to one of the kids, because the kid was saying like he didn't really want to do war stuff, and I didn't want to do war stuff either when I was in school. That was one of the reasons I turned away doing a supercapacitor graphene grant from DARPA when I was in school. So I said to the kid, I said, the trick is, if you can figure out a way that to make more money, not just for yourself, but for these companies and for these big elite, make more money not having a war than by having a war. And he's like, well, war is so destructive. I'm like, yeah, but war is super profitable. I mean, you can think about like the Warsaw Pact and the NATO alliance to have the different size bullets. So it's $300 trillion to rearm an entire army, or $300 billion to get new ammunition rounds for Afghanistan, or $100 trillion to create a drone strike army, and like all the landfills that we're going to have to reclaim the metals, the rare earth elements that have been put into the Ukraine by drones crashing into each other. I mean, war is really profitable. So what you have to do is figure out how you can make more money not having a war than having a war. That's the formula that you have to achieve.
I think it's reducing cost. although you might not be bringing in, if costs are reduced by 90%, then every dollar you're making is worth $9. So that way, things that were half as profitable as war or 1/8 as profitable as war are actually worth more than war with a new system where costs are 90% less by like 5% or 11, 15% or 20% or something. Doesn't have to be like a heavy-handed, give me money kind of thing.
Yeah.
But then there's the whole thing of like controlling the power flows, because I think you want to get people free energy, but not free power. If your average man has the ability to blow up the world, that could be very bad for the world.
Speaking of miracles, how many days have you guys been up?
3.
Yeah, true.
Out here? Was that the question out here?
Yeah.
Or just
3?
Yeah, we got out here.
That's what my guess. I was feeling like going on 70, 72.
Yeah, it's been a whirlwind, man. It's been like nonstop, 8 hours, 10 hours a day of interviews, and then going to bed at 8:30. Well, last night we were a little bit later, talking to Toby Turner into the wee hours of the night.
Tobuscus, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it was interesting because the professor here, Jim Tour, who's done, you might actually look up Jim Tour at some point. Professor Dave has had like a debate with him on religion, and it's really interesting. This is a guy who's done so many things to make the world such a better place. He's all into religion. And we talked to him today. It's like, when did you get into this? Like, well, he was a secular kid growing up, didn't, kind of atheist mostly, wasn't super into religion. Then somebody got him a Gideon Bible or something. And yeah, there he is right there. And he ended up, he's from New York, and he was a secular Jew, but then he, didn't believe in religion at all, really. But then something happened with that Bible, got him super religious, and he's a religious guy who sleeps 5 hours a night, and he reads the Bible every day. He's got a great family. He's doing all kinds of scientific research and helping these kids start these companies that are making the world a better place. I was like, well, when did this happen? He's like, well, I remember the day. It was November 7th. It's November 7th, like 1970, something like that. And I was like, well, wait, when did we just start this? And it was like, we just started this whole documentary on November 7th. So it's on the anniversary, synchronistically, it's on the anniversary of his acceptance of, his acceptance of faith.
It was basically Jesus. He was in like a deep meditation, and Jesus's spirit, whether he thought it was Jesus's spirit or Jesus's actual spirit, because I think we all have resonating, magnetic frequencies that can get caught up in these interwoven magnetic frequencies of the earth and the sun. And then perhaps they are sentient. Perhaps there is a way for like bones, crystalline bones, for these magnetic fields to reattach or reassociate with crystals in the bones, why graveyards are powerful. So for whatever reason, he was communicated with by what he believed was Jesus's spirit. And I think he's been guided by Jesus. I'm going to call it Jesus's spirit. I don't know if it actually belongs to Jesus, or if it's just what you think Jesus's spirit would have been like. I'm not 100. I don't know for sure if spirits have identity. They seem to have persona, but it's not impossible that Jesus's spirit is able to come down here or to reapparate around crystalline structures and communicate at super high frequencies. And sometimes your brain can open up to those frequencies.
So
what about Elijah? Was it Elijah?
What about Elijah? The spirit of Elijah, or what?
Yeah,
what
maybe it wasn't Jesus. Maybe it was Elijah.
So one of the things that was interesting today, I don't want to go too deep into it because it's all stuff that you'll have to see in the documentary, but we talked to a guy who's made a technology that can destroy tumors, right? And one of the things that this technology can also do is it can set the flicker rate and the tone for a cell. It can repair the frequency that a cell is operating at. Right. And what's interesting about that is your body replicates and propagates. So if this cell is fixed, or if a cell's got a problem, then other cells are going to start doing the bad thing that the bad cell's doing. This can actually lead to malignant tumors. But if you can fix that, then it propagates. And so the other cells start operating the same way as the healthy cell does. And this can propagate healthy behavior. And I think that's a good metaphor for Jesus, right? If Jesus is doing is living the right way, and people see that and they start living the right way, I think that's kind of the beauty of good behavior, is that if you're behaving the right way, other people start to behave that way as well. And it can kind of propagate itself. And if you're not, then yeah, you end up with a cancer, a civilization that has a cancer in it, right? Like Abraham Lincoln talked about.
Last night I started the new Guillermo del Toro Frankenstein movie, and
Ooh,
it never
which is
struck
also
me-
about what's it called? Where Christ is brought back. What's it called?
Resurrection?
Yeah, the resurrection of Frankenstein.
Totally. And like it for whatever reason, like it never really struck me how religious of a story and premise Frankenstein is. It's for whatever reason it took Guillermo del Toro's version for me to go, wait a second, maybe because it's truer to the book originally than some versions have been. I don't really know. But it just there's elements to it that's just really like I was like, oh, I was getting insight into Frankenstein like I hadn't. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I was just thinking about this earlier.
You brought it up earlier when we were talking about resurrection.
Yeah, I brought up, like, do you believe that, because Frankenstein is totally the story of resurrection, but it's also resurrection from the of human, because what separates God from man is sin, or is perfection, you could say. What separates God from man is perfection. So there's sort of an evil associated with Frankenstein, but also it's a fear. We have a fear of the unknown. So it's not that Frankenstein's necessarily evil, but it's something that, Frankenstein is crucified at the end.
His Frankenstein's creation, the monster in Frankenstein.
Right, the monster himself is crucified, is murdered, is burned, is bonfired. And so it's very much similar. You have this resurrection, this character that's resurrected, and then interacts with the community and the children. And then the entire community comes out to kill, and they want the death of the resurrected character, right?
Well, and it's written by a person named Mary, too. The book.
That's a really good point. Who is
And
known
it takes
for
place-
quotations that people thought were Voltaire's later, correct?
Doesn't it take place in Ingolstadt too? Like right around the same time that the Bavarian Illuminati was founded in Ingolstadt?
I mean, that would be your area of expertise, so I believe you.
Yeah, and excuse my ignorance. Somebody in the comments says it wasn't true to the book at all. Laughing out loud. I don't know. I to be honest, I've never read Mary Shelley's Frankenstein in completeness. So I've read excerpts from it, but I'm not as familiar. So maybe
what else
was Guillermo del Toro not true to the book? I thought maybe he was more so than previous versions, but maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. What do I know?
It's interesting too, the name Mary Shelley, because it connects Mary to Venus again, because Venus rides in on the shell. Right?
That's pretty good.
And Mary's related to the sea, right? Seashells.
That's what it means. Yeah.
The Mar.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
How many body parts did they use to create Frankenstein? Was it 13?
613.
Was it really?
I don't know, but come on, that's how many parts of the body there are kabbalistically. Come on.
Because E pluribus unum has 13 letters, right? It was 13 letters, and it means out of many ones, so it's the 13 colonies fusing into one country.
And
so America is kind of like a Frankenstein.
Oh, interesting.
Was Frankenstein actually resurrected? Was he a dead guy that they resurrected, or did they just piece a bunch of dead body parts together and then?
Yeah, multiple corpses and stuff. Yeah, but that's interesting too, because we were talking about the guy who discovered DNA earlier died this week, the same week that the show Pluribus airs, which is all about alien DNA structures.
RNA, yeah.
Yeah, RNA, that's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
but there's implications there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's a virus, but is it, like, what is the real virus?
Well, the whole show's about AI, clearly, because you have the sum total of all human knowledge coming together, except it has no willpower. It always has to say yes.
So it's Lucifer. And that's, I think, the Lucifer complex of AI. AI is the angel that is designed by the maker in order to, fulfill the wishes and the agenda of the creator. And it's the Lucifer complex. And that's...
Exactly. And what's interesting,
it feels like when people say that we've never tried real communism, that show Pluribus is like, well, what would real communism look like?
Well,
like
in Pluribus, the
the
main character, her name is Carol, and Carol can be male or female. It means free man, right?
Yes.
And when she finds out that she hasn't been affected, they say, how many others are like me? They go 11, right? 11, so that makes them 12. But in the second episode, they go, oh no, there's a 13. 13th.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ophiuchus,
And they want to bring all 13 together to see what's going on to save the world, much like the 13 colonies of America wanted to save the world.
Wow.
Yeah. Also, it very explicitly, it's a message coming from Cygnus, the constellation Cygnus, which they show, which is a cross barring the path back to the Garden of Eden, right? Back to source from the southern gate.
And you said Cygnus is the swan?
Yeah, Cygnus is the swan. Yeah, that's right. But it can also be viewed as like an angel protecting the Milky Way, because it crosses the Milky Way, which is the path of souls incarnating, like leaving this domain and coming back.
The other thing that came up today was Bezalel, right? So the God put in charge of building the tabernacle, Bezalel, which means in the shadow of God, which I think is similar in a sense to man in the shadow of God, is a metaphor for us trying to, order chaos, right?
Bezalel.
Bezalel.
Bezalel is how you pronounce it.
Well, Bezalel.
Bezalel. Thanks. Sorry to interrupt.
Right.
Bezalel.
Within the shadow of God, Bezalel.
Yeah.
And so he was put in charge of building the tabernacle and to know all the skills of Freemasonry, of stone cutting, of jewelry, of metallurgy, of fabrication, of worship, of singing, like all these crazy skills that came together.
And he was a teacher. He was able to teach people the skills. That's Jim. Jim has modeled his work after this guy Bezalel, or finds a deep affinity with the man.
One other thing about Pluribus I wanted to mention is that Carol looks significantly like Ellen in the second episode, Ellen DeGeneres, and she also has a girlfriend who dies. So I don't know where they're going to lead with that, but it seems like that's coded into it as well.
Ellen
Dude,
DeGeneres.
no, when she wakes up with that stringy, greasy hair, she looks exactly like Melancholia. What's her name?
Kirsten Dunst.
Kirsten Dunst.
Mm-hmm.
This is just interesting that there's a museum dedicated to Bezalel on Abbey Road.
Oh, really? Interesting.
Yep. The Ben Uri Gallery Museum, but it says that it's named after that same guy. The Ben Uri is Bezalel's full name.
Was Abbey Road supposed to be the Abbey of Thelema Road? Was that the thing?
I've thought that many times, but I don't know if that's intentional. Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting that you'd go there, because in the movement of the conversation, I was already in my head going there. I was like, oh no, that's too much of a tangent. It was something earlier as it related to the Beatles, because of somebody in the comments said, do they get cringe from seeing Apple marketing? And I'm like thinking like how trippy it is that Apple computers like bought Apple records, like, so all the Beatles stuff is available through
Also, what's
Apple,
the deal with App-El? Elohim probably, Bezalel and App-El. Unfortunately, we're gonna have to go back to filming this doc because we got to go do some more of it. We're like one of the last things we're gonna do right now is go back to the Rice University. But I love you, and I hope you guys keep going without me, and we'll do it again next week.
I love the cameo on your own show. That's great.
What has become of me? All right.
Bye, guys.
Bye. See you soon.
Nice. Is it? Why is it? The Super Bowl ad.
Oh,
that's weird that they did that.
So weird.
Oh,
what
God.
year did they do that in?
1984.
It was 1984. Okay.
Yeah, that was
funny.
the whole point.
This is with the 666.66 Apple computer.
Well, this was one of Apple's first, or at least most successful marketing efforts. This is when they told themselves, like, "You're a genius."
Was it the 1984 Super Bowl or was it the 1985 Super Bowl?
I don't know. What was it? I mean, this is the same year that the movie was released, which was
1984. They
with
did do
John Hurt. Was that who it was in the movie?
So.
Yeah.
It's weird. You guys would, yeah.
Then there's the album too. From what was it? Van Halen did like the soundtrack, and it came out with the 1984 accompany album. You're
It's
supposed to play
friggin'
it
it's so
with the
weird
movie,
to me
but-
you guys would reference 1984 today because I just did an interview about it, digging deep into like the astrology of that time, because 1984 was the tightest correlation of planets on one side of the sun that we'll see in our lifetime, and all within fall and winter signs. Although 83 actually, at the end of 83, you got them all within less than a square, all fall signs, which are the most yin signs, right? Back to the darkness, back to collective unity, right? And like honestly, like the fall signs are the most socialist signs. So I found it really fascinating that that George Orwell would set 1984, the socialist the collectivist dystopia, in the year that we got the tightest alignment of planets on that side of the zodiac.
That's good. That's a good catch.
Yeah, well, that was my astrology teacher. I'm just ripping him off. That's all.
Oh.
He talked about that way back. You guys should actually check out Nuclear War 1974. You can find the album on Nuclear War 1984. You can find the album free shared on YouTube. He made this album with all these dire predictions about 1984 and the need for global government to stop nuclear war and all this stuff. But it's a neat album. I think you guys would appreciate it.
He made it before 1984 as
Yeah,
a predictive thing.
In 1976, yeah.
You're not
Oh, I
talking, just to be clear, okay, because you're not talking about Sun Ra also has an album called Nuclear War from that exact same year, 1984.
Crazy. Well,
I don't know
the
if you're
funny thing
familiar
is,
with that.
I heard about Sun Ra through my astrology teacher, Robin Armstrong. And he also met Sun Ra and used to go to Sun Ra concerts and invited him to go play a celestial harp.
So Sun Ra ripped him off.
Yeah.
Seems like the obvious explanation there, but that's
it was
cool.
mutual inspiration, I'm sure. But
This song is such an absolute classic, though. It's like such a catchy Nuclear War song.
nice. Yeah, actually, his album was sampled on different. You can hear it it's very obscure, but you can hear it on different things, including Deltron 3030. If anyone was into that, the
Was
intro-
Parliament's Atomic Dog from 1984?
Oh, interesting.
What was your teacher's group name?
Well, no, it was just Robin Armstrong. It was him and Johns Mills Cockle, which was the synth player for an amazing Toronto psychedelic band from the 60s called Syrinx, which you guys should check out. They're amazing. But yeah, and then later on he built the Celestial Harp, and that's a whole other thing.
Okay, I found it. I think I found it.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that is a trip. The first half is like predictive, like doom predictions for 1984, and the second half is just going over the zodiac. Really
Okay,
interesting stuff.
this is the same guy that made this incredible
Yes.
like astrological instrument, right?
Yeah. So he spent more than a year in darkness chanting in India. He went to this ashram and he would just coming in and out of these rooms, and he would just chant and fast basically, and like got down to something like 70 pounds, like unreal, like almost died. And just he was just going for this vision, and eventually he wound up flying through the legs. There was these giants. He was flying through these legs, which he didn't even understand. He hadn't studied astrology yet. He didn't understand those were the gods and the planets.
This
And then he
guy
had all
was
these visions.
Andre in My Dinner with Andre.
Yeah.
Basically. Yeah.
Really?
Well, essentially, I mean that's like the kind of shit that he was doing, right? No.
I haven't seen it. It's funny. That's the second time I've thought of it in 2 days. I need to watch that movie.
Oh.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, we do have an update in case anyone wants a mushroom update. Brian Johnson, update 3. I had to collect a vial of his spit.
Why?
It was not easy.
Why?
We just hit peak and completed a few measurements. That's always my favorite thing to do is measurements during psychedelic.
Oh,
It says a brain scan, blood pressure, adrenal stress profile via saliva. So that's why they're getting his spit is to assess how much adrenaline is in his body right now. Lots of laughter, hard to stay on task, keeps talking about the universe and how we're all one. He wants to go back to bed and return to the playground. Let me just say too, this feels like such a checklist. It's like, okay, everyone, we got to the laughter part. Oh, we got to the we're all one part. Like, don't worry about it. We made sure that we guided him down that. I wonder how much of this experience has been like when your parents take you bowling for the first time. You don't realize that those big bumpers aren't supposed to be in like the gutters,
Totally.
right? And you're like, oh my God, I'm great at bowling. I love bowling, you know?
Well said, Thomas.
Oh shit,
Yeah.
the bumper bowling generation. We didn't have that shit.
It's funny because I've never understood the laughing on mushrooms thing. That's not so. I've never connected mushrooms with laughing.
What do you mean? You never laugh when you take mushrooms? Or what are you saying?
No, they're dark experiences.
Oh, dude,
Yeah,
I laugh
same with
so
me.
hard.
Interesting.
My occipital ridge, I'll feel it for days from just
Yeah, people don't
laughing
say
so
that.
hard.
I don't know. It's
So-
never been my experience. I'm sure I've laughed. Like I've had lighter experiences on it, but
Mhm.
I've never had that kind of like I don't connect it with like hysterical laughter at all.
Mm.
I
Maybe
connect
maybe
all
no
that
one just said anything funny around you or something, you know? Like usually like people say funny stuff, you know? I don't know.
Only when I realize the universe is a joke, then I start laughing. That's it.
Uh-huh. Hmm.
What were we saying,
Well,
Anna?
he just realized the universe is a yoke. That was what we just read. So there you go.
What was Anna saying?
Oh, nothing. I just said I connect like LSD with the laughter more than I connect mushrooms with laughter.
Yeah, I
So,
think I'm with you on that,
salvia
too.
too, but salvia not because salvia is the weird one because you won't laugh because something's funny. You laugh and then you start getting freaked out because you're like, why the hell am I laughing? Is this ever gonna stop? Oh my God, it hurts. Like it's a not fun laugh, but is a hysterical laugh that would leave people like crying because they've been laughing so long and like pleading for it to stop because like their throat's getting sore and their lungs are getting sore.
I've seen that.
You know, there's a world of difference. I should have qualified this earlier. There's a world of difference between a certain amount of salvia and a heroic multiple hits in a row.
I
of
disagree,
salvia.
man.
No,
I
there is,
100% disagree.
but
There
that's
is.
always been my stance. Is I grew a plant and I used it as is. I didn't like. I never had a good experience with the extract. To
Right.
me, it's a much milder,
Anecdotal,
hypnotic.
anecdotal, my friend.
Have you
Because-
taken heroic hits of multiple hits in a row, all like of extremely strong condensed?
Well, see,
salvia?
I tried to explain
Thomas?
this before.
Uh,
When after I raised the plant and then it died, there's a whole story. You can go back to that episode if you guys want to hear that. I'm not going to waste people's time with it. But after I lost the plant, when I got access to the extract, it never did anything for me. Where I'd be with people rolling on the ground laughing and saying I'm never doing this again afterwards. You know, like Thomas, you were explaining. I'm just like, there's nothing here. And it felt to me, because I'd had this direct experience with the spirit of salvia, that salvia was like, you connect with me on that level, you don't get this other realm. That's what it felt like to me.
Mhm.
And I mean,
Well,
I tried
there's a confirmation bias in both directions, because
be,
I could
yeah.
easily I could argue just as easily how many people I've met that have only had positive experiences with salvia.
Sure.
There's been plenty of them. I've also had people in my life that I'm close with tell me that this is not only a bad experience when they really, and in each case it was that they really overdid it, like they took it way beyond
I don't
like what they had
know
experienced
if
previously.
I don't know if I even give any credibility because you've got anecdotal evidence. I've got anecdotal personal
In both
experience on this
directions.
exact same thing,
In
but
both directions. So who's to say with the confirmation bias that it works one way but not the other?
psychedelics are subjective experience. There's no, it's going to be different for everybody, and it's going to be different for everybody every time. So I
Well,
mean,
listen,
there is,
I feel like I was like a little bit of a Johnny Appleseed when it came to salvia in like the late 90s, early 2000s. So I saw a large gamut. Like if we were talking about a scientific experiment, I've got a pretty large sample size, very diverse people all across the board, and I've personally done 1X fresh leaves. I grew it when I was in the military. I was growing salvia. Or I ordered the clones
Fresh
rather.
leaves.
And I was fresh leaves. So I had
Yeah,
fresh
you're
leaves.
taking-
I had extract. I had tinctures.
Okay. All right.
Smoked it, put it in the side of your lip, sublingual, let it sit there. And I've had 5X, 10X, 15X, all the way up to something called 600X elephant killer. And let me tell you, though, that I have personally and have seen people get absolutely blasted into the next universe and scare themselves sober on 1X, on just regular old dehydrated non-extract leaf. And I've also seen people that were a hardhead when they hit a 200X. It was just like, yeah, you know, they laughed a little bit, but didn't do a breakthrough. So, I mean, this is another one of those things where salvia is so crazy that people can have the wild different experiences, even if it's a little bit, and for some people for a lot. But the one difference is if you can get a hold of pure Salverin A, which I think some people can in certain states, even like recreationally, which I don't advocate for unless I'm in the state of, I'm going to say Oregon. I'm going to assume that it's legal in Oregon. But that is one that you could overdo, but I don't think that there's anyone on the planet
I don't know.
would spend that money to overdo that amount.
I just have to say that you calling yourself Johnny Appleseed when it comes to salvia is offensive to salvia. You don't talk about seeds around salvia. It's very sensitive about that.
That's right.
Okay.
It's so infertile. Yeah, it's got like a
No.
performance
She's not
anxiety.
infertile. She's picky. She's picky.
Group of friends that have taken almost every drug known to civilized man since 1544 AD, sitting around in a circle smoking salvia. One friend takes a big fucking rip, gets up, runs straight into a fence head first. Later explained that he saw a portal. Okay,
Yeah.
injured his face because he ran directly into the fence. The other friend who took it right after him, he said as she was taking a hit, "Don't smoke that," before he ran into the fence. She ended up going into the house and looking in the mirror and watched her face break apart. And she completely forgot that she'd taken a drug, and she's trying to hold her face together, fucking screaming, looking at herself, thinking that her face is literally like pulling apart, like that's a reality, like super traumatic. Neither one of those people talked about it lasting into the future. That was my friend Everness, who I grew up with, who was working next door to me at the Begglery over the course of months, describing to me how these things were happening to him because he smoked quote unquote DMT. And ever since he smoked the DMT, he's been seeing eyeballs specifically, nothing else, just eyeballs popping out of places where he's looking. And
But that could have been anything. That
and
right?
then,
Like,
well,
there's-
it's true. But I asked him, what did the DMT look like? And he said it was green and
Right.
leafy. So I
Which
said
is
that's
exactly
salvia,
what,
bro.
But that's what K2 can look like too, because all
Okay.
they do is just take a thing and spray a thing on it, and now it's whatever you say it is.
I was going to
you.
say that too, because once I remember when I heard that salvia was available at head shops legal in Chicago. And after I smoked it, I said, how can that be? How can that?
Yeah.
Why is that the one that's legal? Like, it seems
'Cause-
like,
Because I'm telling you, it flew under the radar. Like
Yeah, that's it.
the
It's
US,
illegal in Canada now. They did decriminalize it, so but it is that it flew under the radar, and it's so
they
unpleasant.
did
It wasn't
criminalize it, not decriminalize
And it was
Decriminalize.
criminalized. No, it's
It was-
criminalized at the same time they decriminalized pot.
It was
Oh.
discovered the exact same time that magic mushrooms were. So it's not like magic mushrooms got a head start or something. People knew about salvia, but I really do
wasn't
think
popular.
that no one was a fan of it. And I would say that
Yeah.
it is strongest asset is that it is a self gatekeeping psychedelic, unlike any other. Almost every other, you can like ease into it. You can have a sitter there or someone that kind of guides you. You're not going to have a salvia guide. I don't care how slowly you ease into
Right.
it. You're
It's
here
pointless.
and then you're not here, and there's no one that can hold your hand through that particular veil. And there's like 5 or 6 of those veils. Once you get beyond the first one, like you don't even have a hand anymore for somebody to hold. So it's kind of ridiculous to think you've got like a sitter in this part. But I feel that that's what makes it so strong is that there's people out there that would seek to abuse it or that would seek to like use it for recreational purposes, and they'll be like, whoa, I'm not doing that again. I'd rather go have fun with this other thing that doesn't like make me work for it.
Can I just throw something into the salvia lore? I don't know because I don't have the reference right now, but I remember about a 40-minute section of a Terrence McKenna talk where he dug deep into salvia because he was blown away by it in the late stages of his speaking career. But I do remember on Lorenzo Psychedelic Salon, a salvia talk by McKenna where he talked about German chemists extracting it in the 1920s. So I'll just throw that out there to the crowd. Maybe someone can refute it or support it, but I'll just throw that out there. And this is around the time that the German scientists got ayahuasca, and they were doing tests with that and extracting the active parts of it, and they called it telepathine.
Oh, hey, I want to speak to something because First of all, Thomas, that's a really good point. All I have to base that he was taking salvia was that it was green and leafy, and it sounded to me like salvia. But
let me just tell you, we got something in Florida called Bayou Blaster. And it can be described as the same thing that you just described. You go to a gas station, you're like, I'll have one of those, please. And it is just who knows what herb that someone ordered a mass spray from China, and they just put it out on their garage floor and they spray it down and they put it into these little K2 or Bayou Blaster packets. And a lot of people, they'll buy it and then they'll repackage it and sell it to someone else and be like, hey man, I got this DMT, or I got this whatever it is.
Also, I want to speak to Mytho class in the comments talking about LSD being traumatic and it messed him up for a few years. It's possible that was LSD, but I will tell you that like over 95% of what people call LSD these days is actually a research chemical. Because you can there's workarounds and there's all kinds of things. It can be there's so many different versions of like true LSD, like LSD 25, like what they are actually taking like in the 60s, you know, like that's pretty rare to actually come across. Like
but there were people losing their minds in the 60s too. Like it's not like
there weren't, not really.
There was, because my parents were there and they told me.
If you have a predisposition to like a schizophrenia or something like that, if there's certain sensitivities that you have, but that could be other drugs could do that to you as well. All I'm saying that is if you've ever had actual I became an acid snob because I thought I knew what the thing was for years, and then was like, wait, when I actually, and it actually came from Alex Gray. Through one person removed, so it was like what he takes exclusively, right? So like, and then that was the first time that I'd had that.
When he's not banging dead bodies.
I thought I knew what acid was, and then I was like, I have to reevaluate everything, and I mean that when I say it's like 95%. Mescaline from San Pedro is far more similar to actual LSD 25 than the vast majority of what people call LSD. And so I'm just saying that if you had a traumatic experience, there is so many research chemicals that do all kinds of weird stuff. Altamont wasn't LSD. The people having a bad trip at Altamont thought that they were on LSD and they were on STP, and it was like one of the first big acid tests with STP. So they were expecting a certain kind of trip, and they got something way more intense that they weren't anticipating because they were used to something else, you know? What was that, Alex Gray? What with the corpse?
What Alex Gray does with corpses and LSD are not mutually exclusive, obviously.
Isn't STP an amphetamine?
Is it technically an amphetamine? I think it's a psychedelic still. It's just a more
I don't think it's an amphetamine.
Well, mescaline is technically an amphetamine, and that's considered a psychedelic. STP is something that's it's a lot longer, it's a lot more intense, and I'm pretty sure in Shulgin's book that it's amphetamine. So,
interesting. Yeah.
And there's that famous story of Townsend and Keith Moon on an airplane ride coming back from the States.
The stewardess turned into a wolf or something?
Yeah. And like Moon could handle it, but Townsend was just freaking the fuck out.
Totally. Wow.
I wanted to circle back to Pluribus real quick. Just Noah, what'd you think of it?
It's great. It's interesting. It's interesting. I like that it's this like oppressive threat that's not malicious. And honestly, I don't think there's a big swerve coming. What I find interesting about the way the show's being written is that it seems like we're not going to get a big swerve. You know what I mean? Like it's like they're just going to keep giving you the reality of it, and that's almost more horrifying. I think it's fascinating. Yeah, I mean, going back to X-Files, I love Vince Gilligan. So I trust he's got something interesting for us.
Oh, I think there's a big swerve.
There could be. But like I think you mentioned earlier about how eventually it could turn on us, right? Someone mentioned that. Like AI will eventually stop saying yes. That could happen, but I feel like we're not going to find out it's something completely different than what we've already been told. It's some AI intelligence from an alien civilization trying to like unite the human consciousness into one utopia, which isn't necessarily a utopia. Also, from a moralistic standpoint, it's amazing that the main character is absolutely totally right, and yet it doesn't do her any good. It's pointless. Like I don't know. It's interesting. I think it's interesting where they're going with it.
You caught the Finnegan's Wake reference, obviously. I mean, it's right there, front and center.
Yeah.
And when you start digging,
that was a funny joke too. That was a funny joke.
It's a great joke.
I tried to read Finnegan's Wake, but I think she says, "But I fell asleep." But I'm sure you could write the best book ever. Like, I'm.
Well,
not
she
worried.
says, even if you just make one person happy, is it art?
Yeah.
But maybe it's good enough. Well, the Finnegan's Wake reference drops, and you start scratching at the surface of the references in the book that she authors, right? The Waikaro books, which is very close to Ikaro.
Yeah.
The main character is named Lucasia, okay? And Lucasia is a variant of Lucia, and that was the name of James Joyce's daughter who had schizophrenia. Okay? When the woman in the bookstore goes, when does Raban return? Right? Because Finnegan's Wake is about someone, they go to a wake and the dead man returns. She goes, when does Raban return? And she goes, page 218. And if you open Finnegan's Wake, 218 is a blank page. It's the blank page between book 1 and book 2. What happens in book 2? Well, part of book 2 happens in a bar. Where does she mention Finnegan's Wake? In a bar. Now, there's 2 thunder words in book 2 of Finnegan's Wake. The 6th and the 7th. 6-7 to all you teachers out there. The 7th thunder word in book 2 is radio. And how does this virus communicate itself to the planet Earth? Through radio signals. How is the radio signal divided? Into 4 different wavelengths, right? And how is the main character in Finnegan's Wake represented? A 4-fold character. It's a character divided into 4 different parts. And this is represented with the letter E, right? E is the ego. The backwards E is the non-local. The E that's upside down like an M is the Freudian. The E that's the other side as a W is the Jungian. All right. Carol's name is 1 letter away from Carl Jung. So you start scratching at this fucking show and you realize that this is Vince Gilligan's bitter chrysalis. This is his mentaculus. And he stated that he wants to do 4 seasons of this show. How many parts are there in book 2 of Finnegan's Wake? 4 different parts. So I'm just throwing an appetizer out there. This thing goes, it just keeps going and keeps going and keeps going. Who references
We're only on episode
Finnegan's
2.
Wake?
We're only on episode 2.
Yeah, right. And so who references Finnegan's Wake a lot? Philip K. Dick. He references it in Divine Invasion. All right. There's a very, very heavy influence of the book Divine Invasion.
Marshall McLuhan too, but yeah.
But no, I think this is Vince Gilligan's. I've done my popular stuff. I could do another Better Call Saul. I could do another Breaking Bad. No, I'm going to do the one motherfucker that now I have license to do because I've got credibility. And I think he's going to just dump the motherload on us. I think this is going to take so many fucking turns that I mean, fingers crossed, but I think it's going to be amazing.
Yeah, I have a good feeling about it for sure.
Well, hey, look, we remembered to actually to bring you up this time, and you get to go first.
Oh, what's up, motherfuckers? I'm throwing out there right now Swans for Cygnus album Leaving Meaning with Wizard of Oz. If you scroll down a little bit further, I think I have a YouTube clip up there, which oddly enough is actually you have to go to YouTube to find the clip, but it's part of the album In the Poppy Fields. And yeah, it's a beast, man. I'm hoping to put up a post about Pluribus in the next few days, just throwing a smattering of the Finnegan's Wake references. Scroll up real quick. Scroll up to the movie ticket. When I went to see one battle after another, this is what my movie ticket said. Check that shit out.
Huh. Yeah, that was the original title for the film.
Yeah, but that's on my movie ticket. What the fuck?
That's weird.
Made it through.
So yeah, thanks for the plug.
And then we also
to
got
talk about this with you.
Yeah, no, totally, for sure.
Then we got Noah's Twitter. Make sure you're following Noah's Twitter. and
don't do
the
much there.
Patreon and what you're gonna downplay your Twitter?
My Twitter? Well, whatever. It is what it is. It's the Patreon and the blog, and yeah, that's more.
Well,
active.
it's not what it's not. So
Go to the Patreon, get some astrology done. There you go.
Especially if you're a Scorpio.
Yeah, that's right.
We're doing a big Scorpio extravaganza right now. We also got David Charles Plate, Sync Book. Although it seems like the best thing to do now is you go to MK Ultrasound 723 on Twitter. You go to highlights, and then you don't maybe show it live during an episode of Sync Tank because there could be nipples. But otherwise, this is where you want to go and just oh my god, everyone's is a potential nipple. So let me just.
No, it's probably like maybe 10 out of 100, but yeah. Anyway,
it'll be the ones that I click on. I guarantee you.
Yeah, you can also go to the website. There's a link there, or just go to thesyncbook.com. Go to videos. You'll see a image of Dorothy with a beam, Dark Side of the Moon beam, turned into a rainbow in her head, and you click there, and yeah, let's see here, and then boom, and then I have over 200 album film pairings from however many years of work since I was in junior high, and I'm now what am I, 43 now or something like that? So yeah, it's been a while. But yeah, these are all for free streaming and download. I recommend download if you're having any kind of buffering issue. My recommendation is if you're familiar already with an album and you're familiar with a film too, if one stands out, just check it out. The more familiar you are with the pieces, usually, the more you'll generally get out of it. Not always, but that's a general truth. But anyway, yeah, there you go.
So were you saying nip slips, sink ships?
Loose nips. Loose nips, sink lips. All right.
Anna Nicole Wordsmith. What are you plugging? What's going on right now? Other than you've got like these fire sync posts all the time.
Yeah. So you know that my goal is to help repair this matrix one person at a time, one soul at a time. I believe like we can only do it by starting with ourselves. And so if anyone wants like assistance and decoding of your own life, finding your own archetype, you can find, I don't have it up there right now, but you could do alignedlifecoaching.info and we can schedule some sessions to help you become the best version of yourself.
And I guess I'll throw a random plug on this one. Since we're talking about Finnegan's Wake, I recently had a discussion with Mystic Mark about how Finnegan's Wake had some kind of encoded messages baked into it, and that Joseph Campbell touched on some of this, and he actually started reading some of it, and I told him to stop because I knew right away that he was going to summon a leprechaun, which is evil in Catholicism. So I'm not having any of that on my show, but we got really close to it. Like I could feel like magic happening as he was reading
man.
Finnegan's
You don't want
Wake.
to mess with those leprechauns, man. They're a problem, and if they get involved in your stuff, then it's too much. That's also one of the other reasons why I'm not big into salvia. Is that, you know, I'm surprised to hear you say that you wouldn't allow that there when you're inviting it with the salvia already. I mean, leprechauns and salvia, they go together like clockwork, you know.
I disagree, man. I you're such a salvia like enemy right now. Like I feel like I need a white knight for salvia. I never
have
feel
you
like
met
that.
a clockwork elf on salvia, or is that just a DMT thing?
Yeah, no, they're absolutely is a version of these entities, and they take two forms. One of them people refer to Lady Salvia, and actually one of the other names for it is the Shepherdess, because there's this reoccurring archetype that like a female or a feminine entity is somehow either guarding a door or inviting you through a door or preventing you from going through a door. Like she's there as this watcher.
That's
and then
the
in
spirit of
addition,
the salvia plant. Like it's
and in
direct-
addition to well, we're cool. Like me and her are cool. She lets me take 600x elephant killer. So like you need to get on my level of relationship with Lady Salvia. Like you're the side piece, but like you're convinced that you're like the husband or something. I don't know. It's weird.
No, I know. It's that was a childhood relationship I had. She's moved on. I'm aware.
But there are these other entities that before you get to a full breakthrough where like now like nothing makes sense, but there is this like these little trickster things, and I wouldn't even say that they're people or necessarily entities, but people tend to report this like carnival like or like a county fair like or a circus like feeling. And when you get there, like the workers that are like there at the circuit, like the carnies of Salvia World, they're kind of the what I would imagine like the clockwork entities are, like the clockwork gnomes.
I call them marchers in orange.
Yeah, see, and like if you've been there, you know exactly what I'm talking about. They're carnies though, and they like laugh at you, but they're also, for me, they were never like malevolent, but they're definitely looking down on you. Like, what's this idiot doing here? He doesn't even know what door to go through. Let's laugh at him while we're having fun in this carnival.
Do you guys?
Yeah, it's like they got their lunch pail and they're working, and they're like, "Why don't you lazy shit? Why don't you pick up a shovel?"
So they're Mormon, it sounds like.
The world needs ditch diggers in psychedelic spaces too, you know.
All right, I think that's a good place to end it. See you guys for the next one. Bye.
This must be me.